not want it there? Sure. Yeah, that works. That'll be perfect.
Some random joke from some stupid TikTok just called him Dennis.
I'm glad I unmuted right as John had food in his mouth. The perfect timing. That's
my boy Dennis. Dennis Chainsaw Man.
I'm gonna put this one over. I think with this color scheme, it works better. Don't do that. Put that back on. Doesn't belong there.
That was weird. Okay.
Don't worry about anything that's going on. We just have to go perfectly on the chair.
Big stretch.
My Pokemon have to release
Big
so much
stretch.
banger Pokemon this year.
Welcome, everybody. We're live. Surprise, we're live now. Already. The 10-minute countdown was going while I was setting up stream, so it was really a 2-minute countdown. Let's go, baby.
We got him, boys.
That's the point of it.
Optimal gameplay.
Guys, it's gonna take forever. It's the first stream.
How are you guys been? Yeah, let's talk about all the things we've been doing. I'm sure that's exactly what we want to be doing tonight.
You have less than 60
It's
seconds
9
to say
o'clock.
everything
We
you've
got
been
time.
doing.
What have I done?
Just set up a stopwatch. You have 60 seconds.
No, I have nothing that I feel is really important to share in terms of relevant things that have been doing. I'm trying to think if there is anything anime related that is pressing on the brain. I am watching some stuff, but I haven't in like the past week or two, so I'm gonna wait to talk about that until I am caught up on those other things. Otherwise, podcast show go burr. As per usual. Do we just want to go? We just want to get into it?
Fire Emblem good.
Yeah, don't talk about it. I don't want to hear anything until I have the
I'm
money to
playing
buy
a
it.
lot of
mean,
Valorant.
hey,
Valorant's
Unless
My
you're gonna
main
buy it
protagonist,
for me,
Colgate,
and
is
unless you're
very
gonna
hype.
buy it for me and ship it to my house, you're not allowed to talk about it.
I can't say that I named my main protagonist Colgate, like everyone else.
No,
No,
what
I
wasn't
think
the
that's
joke
just you.
Aquafresh? Isn't that what they look like?
No, it's Colgate, the toothpaste.
It's
Well-
not Colgate.
No, the,
Hello,
the joke is
I'm
that they look
gonna-
like the Aquafresh, like
I'm
the
gonna
Aquafresh
I'm gonna
toothpaste.
scream. Give me a minute, everybody. I have
Colgate
to
is
go.
literally red, white, and
I have
blue.
to go do something quick. Let me go
No,
make
that's
a quick edit.
Aquafresh is the red, white,
I'm
and blue.
Gonna scream. Why does this
It's
keep happening to
Aquafresh.
me?
Sean and Michael are having the stupidest argument ever. Meanwhile, Sean is having an existential crisis. I'm just here vibing. Welcome to the podcast.
I don't know if you can tell.
both.
Don't know if you can tell what I'm fixing, but I'm currently fixing something.
Either way, it's good. I enjoy it. It feels more like older Fire Emblems, where it's just like, here's 800 characters. That
You know what?
you'll use
I
15.
I'm so excited because everyone's been saying that. And I don't know if you know this, but you can recruit everybody in 3 houses, which means you do not get to use the entire roster. And in the same way, because I also heard someone say that this is like it goes back to old Fire Emblem, where it has an overworld map, and I go, yeah, Sacred Stones and Awakening, and the
Yeah, like
remake of
Awakening.
Gaiden. 3 of the more recent games had an overworld, where Blazing Binding, Path, and Radiant Dawn all did not have overworld maps.
Genealogy did either.
I don't even think
I like
Shadow Dragon
Genealogy.
did. I don't
I
even
like
think
Leaf. Leaf is cool.
I don't think an overworld map got introduced till Sacred Stones because they started
Yeah.
doing the encounters on it.
I
Which is really funny because that's one of the things that some people really dislike about it.
I will say I love being an experienced Fire Emblem player and knowing, oh, upgraded class unit, don't use that guy. And oh, there's 2 characters on a map of which you can recruit. One of them is a child. The other one is not. Which one should you recruit? And the answer is always the child because
The
he
answer
grows
is both.
faster.
Both. Don't be a coward.
bold.
Make it
The
work.
answer is always don't use the jig and recruit everyone.
Okay,
can't.
so
If
here's
anyone
here's a
dies, restart the chapter.
here's a fun common misconception.
You can play on casual, but you better be
I-
playing like you're playing on classic.
I
If you're
always
playing a casual, you're still resetting if you get a death because that character is going to become immediately useless if they die in a chapter.
I
Because they aren't
always
getting any XP for that map.
I always I have friends who have started getting in the Fire Emblem. This will be our small tangent before we get into what's actually on screen. One of the things I always tell them is there's nothing technically wrong with characters who are Jagans. The important thing to note is that if you're going to use them, the reason why people say don't is because they soak up early game XP that's better on other units. Some Jagans are really good units. Seth is an incredible unit in Sacred Stones. You probably should be using Seth on a playthrough of Sacred Stones.
The Frederick in Awakening's insane.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just don't need them to be killing everybody, and you should
want them
not
to
give
kill
the
things,
boss XP to
Just
them.
kill the XP. You want them to sit there and soak damage.
Yes,
Yeah,
But
Sometimes also
which is what they're designed to
but
do.
a lot of people will be like, "Don't use the Jacob," which is what we mean by that advice, but it's
That's
also not exactly what you have to do the entire time. Some Jagans are good.
that's fair.
Don't trust Gunter; he will throw you off a bridge.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. If you
Isn't that
are
Awakening?
that Fates, if you
That's
are
Fates.
new here, welcome to Anime Affray, Save or Slay. We podcast, and also an important note. One, really weird for me to be doing a podcast where there's no background music. I've streamed D&D at least 3 times since the last podcast, and it's constantly been music on in the background. So this is really weird to just have us in silence.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for that. This is a podcast where we talky talk. We have 12 shows up on the docket, brand new. Technically, a lot of people will bring this up about one of our shows, I'm sure. Remakes do not count. As same thing what happened last season with Ursa Yatsura. Trigun's on this season. It totally fair game. We don't need any of the previous context to Trigun. If any of us have it, it's neat or cool to have. You
I'm
don't
really
need
good
it.
at picking remakes.
You don't need it. So hold on a minute. You are. I don't know what you're talking. This is a different story. There was an argument about Ursa Yatsura last season. This season, I don't think we have an argument there.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
I just said I'm good at picking them. I didn't say that they were good shows always.
Oh,
I
that's
said
true.
good
You
picking.
do. You
But
do.
you're also
You are
good
the
at
one that
picking
does that. You
I
just
am
like
the
how
one that does that.
just like how John's really good at picking video game anime.
Yes.
Tui.
By
I'm trying to remember which one I picked this season. It's a video game.
NieR?
yeah, okay,
NieR
yeah.
Automata?
It's going to be the first show after mine.
Listen,
uh,
listen.
God.
but so all the shows are new, fully airing. Not sequels, not spin-offs, can be remakes so long as it isn't something that like is weird in the way in which it does it, like Higurashi. And can't be short form. Usually or minute or limit on how long a show has to be is like 20. If it pushes anything lower than that, it's considered short form, not allowed in podcast. If you miss us picking the shows, the VODs on the channel, not that that really matters, you're here now anyway. We have watched up to episode 3 of our shows. If you spoil anything past episode 3 of the shows that are that we are talking about, you're getting banned. You're getting timed out and
nuked out of orbit.
banned. I probably won't be the one to do it, but other people will.
I got it pulled up.
Please do not do that. We are talking about up to episode 3s, and you can always tell what episode we're on by looking at the show detail box. With that in mind, to make things a little easier and save myself some words, when we picked these shows, I picked, John picked, Michael picked, Mason picked. We then went backwards, and then we randomized it on a wheel. For talking order, it's going to go me, John, Michael, Mason, and then it's going to repeat. So when I go and run through these shows, they're going to go me, John, Michael, Mason. That way I don't have to say who picked each show. In the order we're going to be going in, Tomo-chan. I'm so happy I get to start the podcast with that, by the way. You don't know. Actually, 2 of you do know. NieR. Giant Beasts of Ars. Fire Hunter. High Card. The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. Buddy Daddies. Trigun Stampede. Reborn to Master the Blade from the Hero Came to Extraordinary Squire.
That's a lot
The
of
Ice
words.
Guy and His Cool Female Colleague. We're calling it Reborn the entire season.
Yes.
Okay,
Sugar
so-
Apple
Okay,
Fairy
that-
Tale.
I don't care that Katekyo Hitman Reborn exists. We're calling it Reborn.
Spy Classroom. And that loops us back to the beginning. Now, all of our shows, as you saw through that on their show info card, you'll see it either has the Crunchyroll, the High Dive icon next to it. That'll tell you where you can go to watch these shows. Only 2 of our shows are on High Dive this season. You know what that means,
Yippee.
boys. There's a secret agenda to get rid of them as fast as possible.
Oh.
I always forget what the fuck.
It's Giant Beasts of Ars and Spy Classroom are the 2 that are on High Dive.
Those, yeah.
That we're kidding, guys. There wouldn't be anything like that. Also, if you didn't know, something we do every week is that we rank our shows to the best of our abilities. In fact, we have said power ranking. And this week, before I quick and actually flip over to it, I want you to know that only on the power ranking, it is normally segmented, so that there's 3 chunks of it. After this week, that split will start being top 3, like bottom 3 usually. There might be like another week where it's not exactly that. This week it's split top 4, middle 4, bottom 4, because it's 12 shows, goes nicely. Anytime a show is split, where the sections where the show is split, there's a nice thick black bar. And anytime that happens, if there is a show that is not shared between at least 2 of us, it is bolded. So let's say Michael, John, and I all have let's just pick a show, a random show. Who could know what show? I couldn't think of a single possible show that this might work for. But let's say we all have Tomo-chan in the top 4, and Mason decides he's not going to put it in the top 4. I would bold Mason's choice of not putting Tomo in the top 4. That's a crazy thing. He would never do that. That's just an example.
Hold on here.
But also,
This is
but
gonna
also,
come up.
hold
I'll
on.
talk
But
about it.
also, but let's also say that that there's a show that I'm trying to think of a good example. I actually don't know if this is going to be an accurate one.
Yeah.
But let's say Michael and I both really like Michael and I both think Fire Hunter is in the middle of the pack, and Mason thinks it's top 4, and John thinks it's bottom 4. John and Mason would both have that show bolded on the power ranking because they don't share it with another person on the podcast. And now, theoretically, let's say that Michael and I both think Sugar Apple Fairy Tale is middle of the pack, and John and Mason both think it's bottom of the pack. That show would not be bolded
That would
for
be
any
crazy.
of us
That would be so bonkers.
because 2 of us share that opinion on the show. And that's the whole thing. So if an opinion about a show in the section is not shared between at least one other person, it gets bolded. Now that I've explained this, you need to know that only one of us has no show bolded. On everybody's little block, 3 of the 4 of us have bolded shows. Only one of us avoided having a single show bolded.
That feels like a Michael thing.
I also should know 4 shows only 4 of our 12 shows are not bolded over the course of the entire PR this
That's
week.
crazy.
The other
Well,
8
that's
shows
why.
are bolded somewhere. Let's go. It is time to take a look at the PR this week for the I need to adjust the PR quick. Give me a second on this screen.
Wow.
What is NieR slander? What is this?
I'm so excited for this
This
because
show's good.
all of us knew going into it that 3 of us knew going into this that this was going to generally be an opinion.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to have this happen. There we go. Now I just need to do perfect. Now that's good for viewers. There's some opinions here.
I was correct on the thing with Sean. I knew that was gonna be ours.
Uh-huh. We will talk about all of these shows. It's really funny that the top 4 is so close to being similar. It's probably the place we have the least disagreement with a couple of things sticking out. And the 2 things that stick out really stick out.
Yeah.
Which again, we will have to talk about. I'm very excited for opinions about this season. This might be one of the best conversations. I would like to point out that John had a very clear reaction to NieR, but didn't have a clear reaction to another show that also has a very divided opinion.
Ice Guy? No, I'm not surprised by that one.
Okay.
Like I expect you guys to not like that one as much because most of you guys don't care for this type of genre.
He always makes
It's
this
not
mistakes, folk. He always makes this mistake. Every season we go through this bit.
It's not like all of us don't like romance. We don't like non-characters.
We'll talk about it.
Or at least I don't.
Hey, gang. Welcome to Tomo-chan. Bit of context for this one. I've read Tomo-chan. It's based off a 4-panel web manga. That you can find entirely on the author's Twitter account, I believe, still. Fully posted there, and it's also on other very easily readable, safe and well-posted sites because of how it was distributed, being a web manga. I love this show. This show's adorable. Welcome to Tomo-chan. Like the show implies, Tomo is indeed a girl. She's a redhead protag. She has a childhood best friend, June. June has treated her like a guy the entirety of them growing up, and that's potentially because he might not have known she was a girl until middle school. And now Tomo's upset because she wants June to see her more as a girl, and actually, because she is one, and that, is the way that she wants that to go. They have a mutual friend, Gundo. I'm calling her Gundo because that's the name I know her by. That's the name that sticks in my brain. It's an M name. I know her actual one.
Misuzu?
Yeah.
Yeah, Misuzu.
I'm calling her Gundo. Gundo. She is a mutual friend between Tomo and Jun, and she very clearly is playing matchmaker, trying to get the two idiots to realize what the fuck they're doing wrong in relation to their relation. And then we get Carol. I love Carol. The first 3 episodes, just, establishing character dynamic and then starting to slowly run through some stuff. Episode 3, I think, is where you kind of hit the first real, interesting point, there's a couple of interesting points in episode 3 in particular. I'm trying to think of really big things plot-wise that have come up. The two of them do karate, Jun and Tomo. Tomo originally joined the girls' karate, and because of that, Jun decided to stay at Tomo's father's dojo instead of joining the boys' team because he didn't want to do physical activity if it didn't mean doing it with Tomo. And then Tomo got kicked over to the boys' club because she's too strong. There's that as a point. Carol and the head of the karate club, the guy karate club, are engaged.
Misaki.
Yep, Misaki. They are engaged. Yeah, I think those are the core bits from the first 2 episodes. Moving past that, episode 3 introduces a lot of kind of more key point. Well, the end of episode 2 introduces the fact that Jun and Gundo dated in middle school, to which we get the wonderful explanation of that. And then we move in a little bit. We get to talk a little bit about how in a conversation between Misaki and Jun, we get an explanation of how Jun views Tomo now, which is a very good conversation on their nice little bus ride. There are lots of other things that happen in the first 3 episodes that I don't want to really run through, just for time's sake. Shows a lovely little rom-com. Some of the things I personally really like about it, especially even in its 3rd episode, is that the show really does feel like it's moving. It's a really good pace in my opinion for how it's tackling it. You feel like the characters are making progress. You're learning a little bit about them and uncovering some of the things that are that have made this situation the way it is. Also, a lot of these character interactions fucking kill me. Harsh language and spoilers abound, by the way. I know Michael is watching this dubbed, as it is a perfect simuldub drop on Crunchyroll. So he has been watching it dubbed. I've been sticking with it subbed. I've heard episode 2 dubbed though. And I do like the dub. I think it's good. I really enjoyed this sub.
Fun fact about the dub, I found this out just recently. I know the person who is voicing Misaki in the dub, personally.
Wonderful.
So that's really funny.
Also, for those who are interested, Carol's voice actress is the same in both versions. It's your Japanese voice actress doing the English dub voice, which is neat, really cool. I don't want to talk too much because I'm just going to say how much I love this show. It is number 1 because there is a very clear bias for me. If it wasn't number 1, my number 2 would be number 1. And I'll talk about why the thing that is number 1 for everyone else isn't number 1 for me when we get to it. Yeah, but I adore the show. Predominant reason more so being that I really love these characters. I think they're incredible.
I guess I can talk because mine is the one that's the outlier. To be honest, I have it in groups of 3. So mine, my top 3 are my top 3.
Mm-hmm.
My second, my 4, 5, 6 are my 4, 5, 6.
No, I was just messing with you. Tomo being at 5 is totally fine.
Honestly, it and Fire Hunter probably could swap. I just like Fire Hunter a little bit more. But Tomo is really good. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I really enjoy both the dub and the sub because we did watch one episode of the dub with Michael. It was really solid. Yeah, the characters are just fun. I really like how things progress. I like that it. Some of the things that it talks about are like I wasn't expecting, like the whole like groping scene. I was really not expecting that, but I was like, oh man, this is handled really well. Okay,
Yeah, they were.
Stop that.
John, I'm going to ban you. I swear to God. I will take over your spot on this podcast.
Listen,
You brought me in. I'll
listen.
kick you out.
Listen, who won the last 2 seasons in a row is definitely not winning this one.
That
But like,
does not give you that leeway.
No, it doesn't.
I will say kind of in tune with that. One of the things I've really enjoyed about Tomo, is that I like the way she is characterized. The show is not saying that there's anything wrong with her being a tomboy or acting the way she does. It's just her saying to her friends, "Hey, I need to know how to fix the fact that because of the way I am, this person sees me this way, and I don't want that. I don't want to change who I am," which is something the show makes very clear. Is in her friends even recognize that. Episode 3 is a great scene where they take her clothes shopping. Her and Carol, Gundo and Carol both go, "No, we can't make her too girly. That's a problem. That's not. We have to make her a girl who is boyish." Not a boyish. We have to make her a girl who appears boyish, even though and not just let her be a girly girl. It doesn't work. Not yet. Scheming.
You know, this show's just a really fun time. I don't know if I 100% agree on on the idea that the characters are like super growing, because it feels like they haven't changed a ton. Like, there's definitely a little bit, but the reason I have the show in like number 3, easily in the top 4 as I was watching it, was very much this was one of the shows. Every time like I went through the sets of episodes, I was like, yeah, that's the one I want to watch again. I want to watch the next episode of that. That's essentially how my list goes. Is how much do I want to keep going? We'll get the Trigun eventually. God, do I want to see more of that?
Yeah.
That Tomo, I just always want to get another episode of. I've always been like, yeah, this is just a really good time. These characters are really fun. It's just it's just a good show. All the stuff's just done good. It's nothing like super spectacular, crazy. It's not like it's the prettiest thing ever. It's not like there's any like crazy sound design. Not like the direction's done by some crazy person. It's not like 86 where it was like, holy shit, we got to come back for our what, can't think of the fucking music producer. Yeah, you can't go coming back for our Sawano score. I'm just coming back because Tomo's a fun character to watch. This group of 4 is just a whole bunch of fucking goofs.
John,
I
your
think the
wheelhouse.
show is
Your
just good.
wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, it's enjoyable. It's in my wheelhouse. I mean, the characterizations are like things I've seen around. It reminds me of a lot of other shows still, but I like the idea that the guy isn't like oblivious. He's just in denial.
Yes, yes. It's
He's just
lovely.
trying to put off this confrontation as long as possible, which is really weird because it's what he also want. I don't like it's the idea of complacency and fear of change, I guess. But yeah, it's good. I don't have any complaints about Tomo. I think it's a good show. It's a good time for sure.
I will say one of the things. I had 2 points. One was while we were watching this, I think it was it was probably episode 2, when Mason and I watched that episode the first time. June reacts in a certain way, and I go, "What a good dog he is. He's just a dog. He's just a very happy dog." Totally forgetting that was going to be a bit that was going to come up later. It just it has been almost a year since I've read this the manga, so it probably was lingering in my. It was probably lingering in my head. Is all.
Look, I'm just very glad that we picked this as our Dog Boy show and not the other one.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one.
What do you mean?
That
Not
show looks
allowed.
fun.
Kaya-san's dog definitely
Illegal.
looked like it was going to be great.
I know I said 2, but it's actually 3. This is something that really is only going to matter to me, because I've read source material. The way this adapts the mangaka's art style is really well done. Like the stuff that I remember standing out as a 4-panel like gag comedy bit, visual wise, translates almost perfectly in the anime adaptation. Where like just the way characters are drawn at certain times, stuff like that. It's adaptation wise, I'm really enjoying it. Other thing is, I cannot, I still cannot get over the fucking dumbbell scene. That scene is beautiful. Just what does she have that I don't? Well, first, maybe put the dumbbell down.
See, I thought you see
It's so
my
hard.
my brain forgets that there's another scene with dumbbell because in my brain I think of
Yes,
the dubbed line where instead of calling her an idiot, she calls her a dumbbell.
yes,
'Cause
which is
that's- 'cause
also
that's the
good.
bit, is that if it does, cause you can't just say fuck because that does, or
Yeah, but you
because
could.
there is no-
Yeah.
I mean, no, but like in English, because this has to be completely in
Mhm.
English, that doesn't translate perfectly in syllables. So they went
Yeah,
dumbbell,
it's also
dumbbell.
it's also a lot weirder to walk up to someone and go idiot in English than it is.
Yeah.
It loses a bit of the charm. I'm very excited to keep watching the show.
And it was really funny because as I started watching this dub, it's actually the same reason I watched film red dubbed. It was an accident. And I just like I went onto Crunchyroll, and when I went to watch the first episode, it put me automatically into the dub, and I went, oh shit, there's a dub out. Wait, it has everything. I mean, I guess I'll watch it.
Oh.
Sure.
Oh, John, we should mention this to you. Gundo's voice actress in the English dub is Chiaki's.
Chika's
Is Chica's.
Because
From yeah,
That's
it's
dangerous.
very good.
yeah, it's
That's funny.
June's is someone who's done a bunch of things. I just don't
Yes.
remember.
That cast has I think with the exception being Tomo.
Yeah, Tomo's literally done like a side character in something before this. That's it.
It's wonderful. We love to see it. Hey, John, let's talk
Yeah.
NieR Automata. NieR Automata.
Okay. So a lot happens in NieR in 3 episodes. Again, mind you, I've never played the games. I've only seen like the tutorial level for a basic value at GDQ once. And that wasn't even to the end with the black box stuff. I just saw the first like, here is how combat works. Here is how this is a boss battle basically. With Gun Robot is all I remember. But basically we're dropped in this future world where like aliens have taken over. Aliens, they're like robots. And humans are like, we'll make our own robots that are humans, but also androids. Because androids are just that borderline of, ethicality that we can use to take back the Earth. So Earth's been like relegated to the moon. And now they're just sending androids to try to reclaim the Earth so they can come back at some point. And so effectively what we're getting is this like giant war between these androids who are trying to reclaim Earth. And so we have 2B, who's our main character. And she's like the special type of android that they introduced. I forget the name of what it's called. I just think,
Well, yeah, they're the Yorha androids.
But she's a
units.
she's a combo model. She's 2 models combined. I
Yeah,
forget
'cause
what
there's,
her
like, different
names are.
specific models.
I
with
thought she was
specific,
just
like,
in
roles.
the B models, which is like the
she's
battlers.
she's a battler. It's just how they put the specific types together. Types create different
Yeah.
like results. It's weird, man.
Her main function is to fight, though.
We also
and then we
only
have
get that
9S, whose main function is to like collect data and be
His
hacker
main
boy.
function is to be a twink.
He's a scanner.
Yes.
He's your
Also
he's your
true.
scout.
He's a
But he-
scanner.
I
in the
love it.
technical
He's our
term.
resident good boy, is what he is.
Yes, he is.
He's a story.
I love him. He's
So-
so good.
He's also
I mean,
a
I don't wanna
dog,
recap everything,
just a
but, like, I
different
like
kind of dog.
I think the first episode, I didn't expect them to just kill themselves. I didn't know this was like we just take the memories and just dump it into a new robot, problem solved, run it back. And so like, I didn't know this was like a looping thing. I just thought it was like just do different stories. I didn't realize it was like story ends, now go to the next story because you died or whatever, or this critical scene happens.
I knew it had
Um,
multi stories. I didn't know what the anime was gonna do with that.
I knew it had multiple endings. I didn't know they were gonna tie it into like, this is the same character dealing with all of these endings. Which feels traumatic as fuck. When you think about it.
Well, that's how you give something that's supposed to
Also-
only follow orders a conscious and actually make them feel like human.
Dude, okay, listen, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I loved the robot planting the flower,
Yes.
making his little
Oh,
garden.
don't worry.
And then make
That's
sure you
fantastic.
That's like the first 20 minutes of the two. That's most of it. That was most of the
No.
episode.
No, it was just the first half.
It comes
It
back
was just
around.
not-
It
was in the
comes.
first
It
half.
comes back
It's when it-
around.
Then they like reference it later. But that like 8-minute scene, yeah, that was some of like the greatest 8 minutes of this entire season. The issue was that there were 2.5 other episodes of the show.
John, you said something that I want to highlight quick, which was a lot happens in the first 3 episodes, and I want to just make a little amendment to that sentence, which is a lot happens in the 3rd episode.
Yes.
I think the first episode
Does a lot
too.
happen? I don't know. They walk.
Well, like the problem is episode 1's very self-contained. Episode 3 feels self-contained, but it's pulling like from the ends of 2 in, and it's like it's because that there's that 8-minute chunk where you're only following the robot. Like there is no other like rest of the world that matters in that moment, and obviously it serves a purpose, and obviously it builds to
It's
something.
establishing a big thing of like the robots
Yes.
like developing their own consciousness themselves,
Yes.
which then creates an argument of like I like the listen. I'm a sucker for like these subtle metaphors that they're doing in the show for some
Mhm.
reason. I don't know. It's just really good in my opinion. Where it's like the end of the episode where it's like, oh, it's kind of establishing a sense of like, okay, these first emotions these robots are doing is like the primal instincts of like they're generally kind once they've like learned stuff. They obsess over individual things and learning, and then they want to fuck. Like they
Yeah.
find new things and they're really interested in the positives of it. It's when you introduce conflict that the negatives come out, right? And they become hostile. Because really those robots aren't hostile at all until they start trying to fuck them up, basically. They're just trying to like have sex, which
It's
is, by the way, some of
it's
the
an
funniest
odd-
animation I've seen this entire season.
It's an odd thing, right? Because it's important to note that a lot of those robots are hostile right away, and then some of
by
them.
default, they're programmed to be hostile.
The important thing is that a small selection gains sentience to like start to care about life.
Well,
And
the
that
logic is
small
when there's
group
nothing else
starts
to kill and they don't
grow.
have any more orders, the robots need to find a new purpose, and then they discover something else to obsess as that purpose, right? That's the whole thing. It's like
Yes.
they've killed the mother, they killed the father, they killed the mother, they killed the father, they killed the mother, they killed the father. What's next? Like, there's nothing else here.
Yeah. But
You're
like
all alone. You have
at
to find
this
something else
point
to
in the
do.
show, the cycle hasn't stopped yet. They're still existing and fighting. It's you have a strange anomaly, which is this one starts to care for
This
a
section
flower, and everything starts to grow out of that, kind of.
Well, the other thing too is like a lot of the humans have been wiped out, right? And there's like very
Yeah, a good
small
chunk of them,
resistance camps left. So like sections of robots have nothing else to do, and this develops because, like I say, like this is year 5042 or whatever.
5012.
There you go.
Sure. And I think it's
Look, I
implied that like
remember.
time is passing in between like the first and the third because we see like this thing was like they said it was like related to a Goliath class thing. Wouldn't that be crazy? And we saw that in the first episode, and it's like the fucking
Yeah.
buzzsaw thing. So I like the connection. I like the time passing. I just think it's interesting in general as like a thought experiment to me. Like I didn't get as bored with the exposition, but also it's my show, so I like paid more attention.
So
I'll be honest,
which of us three wants to start on our
I-
triangle attack?
I think it looks pretty.
Look,
You're correct.
wanna talk.
Correct. A good portion
I
of it looks
wanna-
pretty.
I want to
You go,
shit on
Michael.
something that I generally praise in a lot of other things.
Go ahead.
God, this show's CG looks dog shit. Actually, the stuff in episode 1 when they were the 3D model of the suit and then you had the android in the front,
That
like,
was rough.
in the 2D form, was actually terrible and looked even worse when they turned the androids into the 3D model because it was the most stiff garbage sitting behind them. The 2D animation looks good. The action when it's 2D does look good, but the 3D models just don't. And they use it way too much in episode 1. Then they appear again in 2. Then they like don't appear at all in 3, which is good. Also, I don't know if I agree that a lot has happened in these 3 episodes. It feels like we could have condensed all 3 of these episodes into 10 minutes.
There's a lot of like.
There's a
not,
lot of
like,
Yoko
things
Taro
happening in the-
bullshit.
There's a lot of
That was
Yoko Taro
getting
bullshit.
talked
There's a lot
to,
of
getting
there's a lot of
talked about.
not narrative but like expositional things happening of like
No,
plot
that's
experience. There's
that-
not enough
that's
progress in the
fair.
show.
There's a lot of narrative bullshit happening here.
There's a lot of narrative bullshit things happening. You have to think a lot.
You are
There's not a lot
correct.
happening in the show right now.
And I just don't feel like it's given. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. It doesn't feel like it's given anything to think about
I-
other than like the robot Wall-E scene that took 8 minutes, which was
I
just
wanna-
Wall-E for 8 minutes, which is pretty good. As I
The
say.
robots fucking gave me something to think about. All right.
I wanna jump on this.
Give me something to think about.
I
I'm
wanna
clicking
jump.
the fucking X button on my browser.
I wanna jump on this point in particular. I've engaged with a lot of other stuff that's done AI sentient stuff, Mankind Struggle, this whole, like, the thing NieR does at a surface level, because it's going to go much deeper, I know it's Yoko Taro, it's NieR. Like, I am on board for I'm on board for like the morals, the themes, the lessons, the the narrative conceit of everything that Yoko Taro is gonna do and that this anime is gonna cover. A lot of my problems come from the fact that this is still an anime and this show has drawbacks as an anime. It shines a lot in episode 1 and it hasn't gone away yet. Firstly, I've never seen a fucking show in the past 3 years have water look as bad as this shit does. The water in episode 1 is horrendous. It's so
Water.
bad. It's
The entire
supposed
thing
to
happens
be
on like an oil rig over an
Yeah.
ocean.
And the
Yeah.
problem is not that the water looks dirty. The problem is that the water looks bad. Like, it visually is not appealing. From like a graphical point. But that's even besides the point. A lot of episode 1, and it still persists in 2 and 3, there will be moments where a cut will happen, and my brain, knowing this is a video game adaptation, goes, there was a combat segment here. That where as 2B, you moved from a point to another point
Yes.
and engaged within the
And you're
environment.
fighting robots in between this area.
And losing, and as weird as it is to say, losing that disengages me from the setting. Like, I am not there. I am watching this happen, and the way that those cuts happen can be really jarring for me. That I really am not a fan of them.
So, I weirdly enough,
I didn't even see water. It was just a lot of smoke on the
so
oil platform.
There
I
is
didn't even notice there was
definitely
any
water in that first
I
episode.
didn't even notice. That's so funny.
Visually attuned.
so I weirdly enough may have the most experience with NieR besides none of us playing that game
We're all saying,
Because-
man, I want to play that game.
Correct.
because, and this is gonna
I
sound
might own
stupid,
the
but it's
game.
real. So it's coming back around, boys. Final Fantasy 14.
Oh my god, it has a NieR expansion.
It doesn't have a NieR expansion, but the 24-man raids from Shadowbringers are all NieR themed, and they're like they were all created by Yoko Taro and the Final Fantasy
course.
14 staff, so it relates to the story, and you get a lot of the environments from it. And so my base knowledge from that makes me go, man, I'd rather just play those 24-man raids or just go play the game.
I will
Like-
extend the olive branch to John quick. OST slaps. OPED slap. Visually this OP is incredibly cool.
Action kind of slaps. I'm just saying.
The action
They did
When
something-
clean.
when it's 2D, yeah.
Yeah,
The
action.
puppet show, fucking great as
Yeah,
shit.
Puppet Show's amazing.
Oh, okay, that got me. That really did.
Like,
I also, this is a show that is leaning on the as it goes longer, I could like it. It's just from this first 3 episode experience, it's on the low for me. It's most likely not dodging a slay from me. But I'm also planning to slay multiple things this week. Because that's just, I plan to slay anything that I personally would just not care to continue after this week if I had the choice. And right now, I would rather just drop this and go play. And it's not even, it's a little unfair to say just drop this and go play the game, but it's also like I would rather drop this and go watch someone play the game. Like
Yeah.
I would rather experience this in a way that I feel like is going to be
its native
engaging to
form.
me, and I don't think this is it. I honestly, I stand by this. I think this is worse right now for me than The World Ends With You was when we watched it. I think I was more engaged with the setting, plot, and conceit of The World Ends With You, but visually didn't like it's flipped. I visually like most of NieR. I like the stuff that but it's flipped. I'm not hooked on any of these characters yet, besides 2B and 9S, but that was a given from the start. I knew I was gonna like him no matter what happened here.
They're engaging characters.
And Robot Flower Man, but he's down in a ditch now. What do I got connected and look what happened.
Yoko Taro pulled Yoko Taro bullshit.
Yep.
Yes.
That's just what happens.
Yeah, I think I have like the same general thoughts, which is that this suffers from the issue of being an adaptation of a video game. And
Yeah.
just watching a let's play of the video game feels like it'd be an infinitely more enjoyable experience than watching the anime. Because I just don't think a lot of games just can't be. A video game is a different art medium than a TV show is. So they just don't translate correctly sometimes. Same way some manga don't translate into anime. This game does not translate well to an anime, in my opinion. So it just, eh.
It hasn't hooked me yet. That's really the thing I want to leave on with it is like, am I semi interested on like whatever is maybe going on with this resistant camp leader and her view and maybe potential connection to 2B? Maybe, but also, do I care about these characters? Are they going to be here long? What I think about something that really hurts this show is that it doesn't have it doesn't, in my opinion, have a clear start point. You are thrown into an episode 1 that is a bad end time scenario to explain that idea from the game, which is fine. I'm glad they got it out of the way. To like, so that you know as a viewer that you're getting engaged with that. But like, I don't feel like I understand the world and the Yoras enough right now. I as crazy as this might be to say, given some of the things that will be said later about other shows, I'm sure, I would have really liked a clear-cut exposition dump for something like NieR. In a viewing form. In a play form, it's different. You get to experience the exposition as you go. This is a little more complicated, and I would have just liked it from the start, personally.
Look, I at least want to know what's going on with Johnny Test's sisters.
Who put the support bots in the front line? Oh, they just want to
Who
do
put
that.
them there?
I don't
Crack
believe
sound
you.
effect.
I love the way Nidus looks at them when they're like, yeah, they just do that. He's like, that's no.
Right. I don't know.
I don't know if it's a mixture of he's confused at why they've made that decision or that he does not believe them that they just do that on their own. It's so
I mean, yeah,
really.
Why not both?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. I
Um,
enjoy it, so.
We didn't talk about Tomo's OP and ED. Tomo's OP is really growing on me. I love the ED.
It's good.
I very much enjoy it. I think it's adorable. It's Tomo singing, and then it's the girls singing as it's the girl squad singing with her. It's adorable.
I couldn't tell you. I watched this like 2 weeks ago.
So we're gonna say a lot of things about Giant Beasts of Ars, and I'm gonna let Michael talk a lot, but I need viewers at home to know that this fucking scene that this screenshot from kills me. I was not ready for this cat to walk up. It's a very serious scene where the cat walks up and is like, look, I'm gonna deal with the negotiations. And before the one with the dog on its head even comes out, the only sound out of its fucking mouth is a full-ass meow. And you have to understand that kills me. Go ahead, Michael.
Yes, Giant Beasts of Ars is as it says, an action-adventure fantasy. It very much leans a lot into its fantasy stuff. This is a world where there are giant beasts that exist. I don't believe we know. They just kind of exist. They're beasts. It's a fantasy world. They're there.
The gods
the way
said
you
have
fight
a
them,
beast?
The way you fight them is to you fight them. But some of them are really strong. So the way you have to fight those is you take 2 people. You take a paladin and a cleric. A paladin is a special human being who has like a special weapon or something, maybe. We don't actually have this fully explained yet. And a cleric is a person who has miasma in their body, which is like magic or like mana. And essentially, miasma, if let out normally, is bad. But a paladin using their magic weapon or something, however it works, is able to channel the miasma and control it as mana and turn it into energy that won't kill people and rot their bodies into nothingness. We follow a guy named Jiro the Already Dead. The Already Dead maybe has to do with the fact that his previous cleric / wife is dead. We don't know. But we have him. We have this girl named I don't remember her first name, but she goes by the 22nd.
Kumi. She goes by Kumi.
Yeah, it's Kumi the 22nd. She's a artificially made cleric. Then we have, I don't remember her name, but we have a cat. And we just got our 4th member, who is a guy.
Have we gotten this
from the Beast
character's
race.
name? I would be
I
real with
think
you.
we've gotten a name for her. Like,
I'm checking.
it said like once, maybe.
I'm gonna
But
pull
yeah,
it up.
she's a race of cat people, I guess, or
Animal?
animal-like people, like the Annas from
You put an animal on
Fire
their head and
Emblems?
they become that animal? I don't.
I
I
don't
just
know.
think of the cats from Tales of Symphonia. That's what I think of.
Mia.
Cats and
Her
tails,
name.
end of sentence.
Her name is Mia.
Ah, okay. And then we have a character we meet this in episode 3, called like I don't remember. I'm really bad at remembering character names, but I know his
Moran.
alias is the Hasty.
Miran.
Yeah, Miran the Hasty. Because the idea that it's not the Quick, it's the Hasty because he's an idiot
Correct.
and makes hasty decisions. But yeah, it's them adventuring through the world, which exists in this like weird fantasy setting where it's very much medieval with like spears and swords and knights and stuff, but also future flying spaceship that hovers along the ground.
JRPG.
Yeah,
JRPG. JRPG.
Yeah, the best JRPG setting. Steampunk, but not really.
No.
Magic tech.
You just have
Magic
to
tech.
understand that no matter what JRPG setting you are in, you get an airship, and you just have to deal with that fact.
Yeah. How does that airship work?
How
Unimportant.
dare Final Fantasy only now in 16 return to its roots of medieval traditional fantasy with airships? I don't know why we took so long.
14 does airships.
No, it's
14
no,
does-
I just love
7 does cars.
I love
Those
people.
two cards
the-
and
the-
motorbikes.
There's just a part of the internet that's like Final Fantasy needs to go back to its medieval roots. It's like, yeah, Final Fantasy 1 with the airships and the demons and the magic and all the traditional things that are also crazy and insane that the entire series has always done. Yes. Who wants to talk about Jet? Michael, do you want to talk a little more about it?
Oh yeah, so I'm not gonna really go over what happens. They
Yeah.
don't. Not a ton happens. A lot of stuff is just events happening to explain the world to you in a way that isn't just. And this is a paladin, and this is a cleric. Like you see a paladin do the paladin thing with a cleric, and he goes, "Hey, you're a cleric," which is to explain
It's-
the idea of paladins and clerics. It's really well done.
It's
a
actually-
very smooth way of explaining the
It's-
fantasy world.
It's actually really funny because we get introduced to the concept by seeing a paladin run the battle, not hearing the term cleric, and then having them call Kumi it later when you know that she
Yeah.
is the same as the other female people who have done this before, so you now know she's a cleric. I do really... There's a lot of things about this show, from a narrative storytelling, I really like.
Yeah, I think this fantasy world's amazing. That's why this is at like 7 or not. Is it at 9 for me? Did I drop? I think I ended up dropping it a little bit. I don't remember. I had it at 7 originally. I did drop it down to 9. But yeah, it's in that like 7 to 9 range. 'Cause I think this. I don't care a ton about the characters yet. They seem interesting. Jiro seems like he has a lot for us to unpack, but we just haven't gotten to that yet. Yumi certainly is a character. Kumi's just a character. But I think there's a lot to unpack there because she's connected to this weird conspiracy of artificial human beings, which is gonna be cool. I adore Mia. I know a lot of people fucking hate characters that talk in cat,
John
but
does.
Ianta is my favorite character from
I
Lost
love
Horizon.
and hate Mia so
So-
hard because of the sub.
They
I don't
they
know
go
if
so
that's
hard in the
subtitles.
subtitles.
On the definitely legal site I watch this on, but they're fucking busting ass.
I
Tons,
have
and I
never
respect
seen
them.
a character be more devoted to making cat puns than this character, with the
Like,
exception
literally
of
Sigma
maybe
exists.
Sigma from Zero
For me.
Escape.
Look, Sigma only does it when cats are brought up. This character does it all
As their
the
speech.
time.
But it's one of those things. Well, I'll read one of them and I'll be like, you did that. I didn't even
Instead, you made
think
that
I didn't even
fucking
think
pun.
of
I
making a
hate
cat
you.
pun out of it, but you did
Okay,
it.
listen, by
Yeah.
episode 2, I'm sitting here wondering how thin is this character's vocabulary that he's gonna have to repeat them like within 3 episodes. It's
Yeah,
gonna have to
I
That
thought
one got me.
I thought about that. But at the end of episode 1, this character sings "Happy Birthday" and only meows,
Yeah,
and
I
I
remember.
wasn't ready for this random
you could
event
think
to
of was-
happen.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course, right?
Sean and I watched this together and immediately just had a fucking panic attack because of Gundam last season.
Okay, can I raise you guys this? While NieR had some bad CG, I think the sequence of them like Mechazord morphing together is the worst animation this season.
I didn't think it was that bad, but
It's so
maybe
painful to watch.
maybe I'm not
every
paying
time.
that much attention
maybe
to it.
it's because I've watched
I hate
Digimon,
it.
where that's like how they
Bad.
Digivolve. It's like a very similar thing, and I think that's fine in Digimon. So
Yeah, no, Michael and I have our brains broken on this one. John, how much Xenoblade are you getting from this show?
I liked Xenoblade. There's a difference.
No, that's not the question I'm asking. Guy wields sword. Well, guy is empowered by woman, who is the
Yeah, but here's the difference. The woman also fights with the sword. This woman
Well,
becomes
they can.
this woman just becomes like a booster energy for my
Yes.
fucking like Charizard. Like
Yes, it
Sorry,
is.
sorry,
It
bad
is.
reference.
It is a
also
choice.
becomes a camera.
she like, and they also have weed to take. Like he takes weed as well, like little pomegranate to power. Like
Ah,
this man's
real-
Hades.
I'm real interested.
This man's just the main character of Hades. Like
I
he wields a
enjoy.
spear. He takes palm to power.
These are all good things.
I enjoy our weird Ghibli-esque.
Because I don't like Jiro. He's just your typical fantasy pro tag bullshit.
But but John, I explained.
fantasy bullshit.
Hold on, I explained it this way. Jiro is the mixture of the JRPG pro tag with the older JRPG party member who will stab you in the back, but then come back later and is a mentor-esque character to your main character. He's both.
He ran down
It's crazy.
He ran down a 90-degree vertical slope. I already don't like that.
It
trope.
was so. But have you seen
Running
it?
up the slope, badass. Running
But
down the
John,
slope, no one cares.
Have you seen
Jeremy
it
does that.
backwards? Because I have, so I know what it could look like.
He's just Jude and
Yes,
Alvin from
yes,
Zillia. Just
he really
pushed
is.
together.
He drinks
I
as much as
just
Alvin
drank
does
water.
too.
He dunked the Alvin thing.
He rats Kumi out in the first 10 minutes of the show where they're like, "Did you see a girl?" And instead of being like, "Nah," he's just like,
You guys ever think about the Fire Nation just following
Yes.
him around? By the way,
We also
Like-
have it is what the scene where they take the boat and they're looking for her and they pass Jiro and they stop and then they go, okay, we have to go report this, and they drive off and they drive back on and they drive back off. Kills me. No, there are parts of this show that don't. There are a couple of things in this show that I don't think are incredible.
I hate knowing
when-
how animation works because I just like was watching through the episode again, and I now that I know how animation works, where it's like it's the same 3 frames of him running, but the background just moves.
Mhm.
It's just like I hated watching that
So,
again. It's
here's the
like,
thing.
they do that a lot.
When they fight the first giant beats, the one that Jiro's there for,
Episode 2, yeah.
yes, it's in episode 1, not when they fight it without the paladin
before.
power. When
When he runs down the bullshit.
when he
wall, yeah,
runs
yeah.
down the wall, that's not even my problem. It's when he runs through the legs and his momentum goes
Yeah.
from 100 to 0 on a dime, and it's it's
there's
so
also, like, that- the fight
noticeable.
later in like episode 3 where like, he powers up and you hear.
That's great.
yeah,
That's
that was
fantastic.
And I was
That's
like,
amazing.
it's like, yes, if this was supposed to be comedic, that'd be great. But the problem is it's not. It's supposed to be like action intensive, the big hype moment, and just
I argue it can be both. The other thing that I do that by far has me fucking. I may have missed a lot of dialogue to explain it, but it got me in episode 3 because they pull up to this large gap in the ground where it's the Grand Canyon but flooded, and they go, "How are we ever gonna get past this?" I go, "Your ship floats." And then they go, "I guess we'll have to stop in at the village." And then they come back to it later and they're like, "Oh, we never solved this problem." And I just sit there and I yell, "Your ship floats!" And
From what it seems like, it's like a hover thing.
yeah, so it would
And you
just
just
go
hover the-
down, but
Yeah.
it's really silly in terms of
Yeah.
conceit. I also do think
No, I get
episode
you.
3 is an odd slow. It really is though you are gathering the party.
Yeah.
By far the things that have me most interested are weird Ghibli character who is eating pop rocks, scientist man. Very
Yeah, he's
eating
interested
Pop
in
Rocks.
his whole thing. The random military conflict we have going on in the capital where they're like, why should we worry about the giant beasts? The giant beasts will attack us anyway. We should still wage war. And she goes, no. And they go, we're gonna wage war. And I go, this is how politics work. So good job, show.
The bit that got me as well, I'm sorry to
No, go ahead.
just a quick thing was how they portray the Ghibli dude as like super fucking evil, and then they just do this one little bit where they're like, yeah, this dude died when we were taking the girl back, and he's like, yeah, tell everyone that he died in the beast attack yesterday so that his family gets his pension. And I went, what?
I was like, what a base decision of you, Red. He has a lot of moments that are like that, where you're like, you're clearly not a good person. You're doing weird experiments and eating evil, magically enchanted pop rocks. You have a guy in the corner of your room who's a Kingdom Hearts villain. Like, you are clearly not supposed to be a good guy. But then he walks up to Jiro at the bar, and he's like, hey man, you want to work for us? And Jiro goes, nah. And he goes, cool, I was wrong, neat, and he just lets it go.
Yeah.
His two goons are like, man, we really screwed the pooch on this one. You think we're done for? And the guy walks up and he's just like, yeah, the boss wants to see you. We're gonna just keep working on the stuff. And then he's like, oh, we're not. And they're like, yeah, he still wants you guys. And it's like, what are you? Why are you like the best employer on the planet?
Like,
this is the bad guy you want to work for.
Yes.
The smallest detail that unfortunately got me hooked very, very quick onto this show was that in episode 1, when Kumi runs into the woman who gives her the sundress and the sunflower hat, she bumps into her and she introduces herself with a title. And at first I'm like, what an odd thing for you to have. A random character she's bumped into who seems to just live in the city and runs a random flower shop. And then in episode 2, it's revealed that she has some connections to paladins and clerics because she has an understanding of it, and it's very clear.
And
it's very clear.
Like
it's very clear in your mind where you're like, every character we've met who has fought giant beasts is given a title. That's like, this world is like very clear about giving people titles as part of their names, like especially those who go out to be hunters. And she has both the background knowledge of that, and it was foreshadowed to you by her introducing herself that way. I'm like, that's really cool. I like that. Yeah. No, you're gonna have to try really hard to get this show out from under me because I am in love with...
You know, I always like a good auntie or like granny character who's like the barkeep, who's like the burly woman, who's like clearly running the town's normal folk.
Don't worry, we have another one to talk about later.
We do?
She runs around maybe a little too much.
No, I think ours has some good moments. I don't really like its action. I don't know. I feel like I'm just getting really burnt out of fantasy bullshit a little bit. That's what it comes down to. And my brain is just
I'm watching
like
7 isekais this season. Never.
I wonder if things gonna happen and they're gonna empower. And it's like, yep, there it is. Yep, that's CG.
I did express my one worry. I'm sorry, this is the last thing I'll say. My one worry I expressed while watching this was, it was in episode 2 where we got where it was like, where they really fully established this is a paladin. Every paladin has a cleric. And I went, is this a sex thing? Is this a Japan? Is this a sex thing?
Here's the thing. What happened to the other cleric he had?
Well, I think she did.
Oh, I mean, no,
Do we not watch her fucking die?
What do you mean? You mean what happened to her? I think she overexerted her power. Whatever it is. I think she fucking flamed on too hard.
Flame on!
Look, I'm just excited for this show to inevitably actually show us that it's really just an isekai.
Top
and we
four,
find out that Kumi is actually from another world, and that's why she's a cleric.
Top four. Back arrow,
No,
back arrow,
that's not
back arrow,
French.
back arrow.
No
Top four,
fucking back arrowing the
back arrow,
show.
back arrow.
But I will say, like, okay, I used to not appreciate the anime blur dodging stuff, you know, where it's like shoo shoo shoo, right? Watching the show makes me appreciate that a lot more. Cause I think running really fast looks way worse.
This is toning down the meme and actually being incredibly serious. This show's monster design is cool as fuck. Like, the monsters in this show are rad. They're not just animals, though.
That reminds me.
I mean,
How the fuck did Jiro get this far where he has to have Kumi tell him, man, this thing, like, I can't get any sort of good hit in. Maybe hit the giant glowing eyeball?
The giant red X on it might be the target.
Mason, you have to think about it this way. He clearly had a very smart partner beforehand. He's very clearly an alcoholic and dumb. And the only time we saw him fight without a cleric, the only thing he did was throw a spear that immediately bounced off it and carry a dude up a wall.
here's my thought. Did the last cleric not just go, "Hey, hit the giant red glowy part"?
Well,
Like-
but the important thing is not all of them have red glowing eyes.
That's
Being
great.
fair, but still. Like, I know we're going off of video game logic and all that, and they don't have that in this world, but
We
also,
don't know that. They might.
if they do, that's even worse.
I do, in my opinion, I think it's an odd design flaw that the more powerful creatures have a very obvious weak point. But that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't have this show in my top 5. I like the show. I think it's fun. I enjoy watching it. It definitely deserves to be where it is on my list, though. But I will fight for this for a while because I think there are far worse things than this show. I got you, Michael. Giant
Yippee.
Beast Gang.
For like a week or two, maybe.
Yeah, see, Michael, if we give it a week or two, we're gonna get the cat lady, and that's just we're gonna get the older cat, like, tiger-esque
Bro, I
lady, and
forgot
that's
she
gonna...
needs to be. She's gonna be here.
Gotta get our second cleric in
She's
the
in the
party,
opening.
man. You know
God,
how it
it
goes.
was funny as shit. We got to the end of I got near like the end of episode 3. I was like, "Fuck, he's in the opening, isn't he? God damn it!"
Yeah,
I just
JRPG party, baby. Let's go.
But
They
something
run
the
with
best
the
part of
ship.
the show, though, like the only part that always sticks out to me in this show is the stupid scene where they meet the villagers and they're like, we have an interpreter, and they bring out the same person with a different animal, and I was just like, I'm
Yeah.
fucking done.
And
I was in the call with John when he was watching it, and it was the funniest shit because I had also not seen it. So
I'll hit a double take.
I'm losing my shit at this point. I'm dying, and John is screaming because he's so mad about it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The best
They
part-
literally just went like copy paste. All right, put another dog. Put a dog on this one.
The-
All right, we're
the
good.
icing
It's
on
like
the cake.
Annas from Fire Emblem.
Yes, the icing on the cake is the part afterwards where Kumi goes, "What was that about?" and Mia goes, "Meh, you know, meh, we just do that.
That's just life.
It's just how it works. It just works like that." And you go, "Sure." Random cat.
Okay.
I showed parts of episode 1 to my buddy Tanner and a few other friends in call, and as they were watching it, Tanner goes, "Is that cat real?" And I go, "Which one?" He goes, "The one on its head, Sean. What do you think I'm talking about?" And I go, "I don't remember." And then we immediately get its tail to move. I go, "Oh, it's alive. You're good." I like the idea that the real living creature is the animal, and it's like a parasite. It's a parasite that's like symbiotic relationship where it's the Paris situation for Pokemon, where the actual body below, not an actual like dead carcass.
Yep.
Yeah, the actual.
We have to move on before I talk about this show for another hour.
Yeah.
Hey Mason, talk about Fire Hunter.
So Fire Hunter.
Mike.
Fire Hunter is I see a lot of people don't really like it, and those people are wrong.
Hey
Um,
Mason, talk
We
about
are.
Fire.
I almost fell asleep.
Mason, talk about Fire Hunter while Michael loads a gun. Because I know what one of his talking points is going to be.
Here, Michael.
Okay.
I have the bullet.
Okay, so Fire Hunter, notably, is a bit slow. And the reason for this is because it is a adaptation of a novel. Not a light novel, not a manga, a novel.
Yeah.
So that is it's gonna make it a bit slow.
course.
Fire Hunter is about a girl named Toko who gets saved from a beast in the woods by a fire hunter, and he dies. So she has to bring his fire hunting beast sickle and his dog back to the capital. Her family fucking sucks. Also, humans cannot be in the presence of natural fire anymore because this is actually a post-apocalyptic thing. They now have to get it from these beasts that he was saving her from, where their blood is liquid fire. It's weird.
Mason, I need to add, they can't be in the presence of the fire because if they do, they combust.
They spontaneously
They spontaneously combust for no reason, and I love it. Again,
interesting.
look.
So, first episode is all about like setting everything up. We also get our secondary main character, whose name is Koshi, who is the son of the dude who saved Toko. He has a sister. She's sickly. His mom just died. Things are bad. And then him and his sister get brought in and adopted by this like super wealthy dude who was a friend of his dad's. And yeah. So this show is weird. I fully acknowledge that, and acknowledge that it's a bit slow. But I really like what it's doing, and I'm excited for more of it. I understand that it overdid its like, it doesn't really show its action sometimes. It just cuts instead to a very pretty like watercolor painting of the shot before it just kind of cuts along. Which is weird, but I like it. I don't know, man. I really enjoy this show. I think it's really pretty. I'm excited to see how the story unfolds. I understand not liking it because it, like I said, it is slow. But I'm excited for more of it. All right, who's gonna kill my show?
Someone else go. I'm
I
doing
just-
something right now.
I don't know exactly what it is that I didn't like about the show. It's hard to explain. I did mention this after we'd watched episode 1s that one of the things I liked about Giant Beasts was how well it integrated explaining the world into characters interacting in a semi-natural way. This one straight up has a fucking disembodied god voice explaining how the world works, which I mean would have been a little bit harder to explain in this setting. It's a lot more complex with the idea of if fire is bad, and also we need to get fiend fire to make everything run.
Yeah.
But also, that's whatever. That's not exactly a negative.
neither
It's
here
just
nor
a
there.
not positive. It's a positive I gave to ours, not this. This show is very pretty. Like visually, this show's great most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially at the end of episode 3 with the fucking dragon fiend, I couldn't fucking tell what was happening for the first minute it was on screen. So it was just a big blob of blue, just vaguely moving in the background.
So I will say
actually-
on that,
Actually, it's a Ryu, not a dragon. They're different
John.
because it moves by wiggling.
So
Shut the fuck up.
I will say with that, I actually liked that just because the whole point of that scene is Toko doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I do think the show looks really good. I think visually, this is like some artistic fucking crazy thing, some Ghibli ass bullshit. Also, the character design, especially when you're following the Hoshi side of the story, every character looks like a fucking Ghibli character, especially the
Yes.
owner of the house. He looks like
Yes.
he looks like a male version of Baba Yaga or whatever the fuck she is from Spirited
From
Away.
oh yeah.
That general type of character. I also just don't fucking care about the Koshi side of the story. I actually want to fucking fall asleep every time it cuts to him. I find that part extremely boring. We finally got some neat stuff at the end of 3. Because we got this like thing from to make the liquid lightning or bottled lightning. I was like, okay, we're going somewhere here. But it was just a whole lot of nothing on that side. And I think Toko as a character is extremely boring. I think everything else surrounding her, like on the truck, is really neat. I just don't like her. I understand there's a reason she doesn't talk. She's like super trauma and terrible parents and stuff. But she's boring.
Again, I feel like that is part of it just being due to the fact, like, and especially the parts with Koshi being boring, I get that. I think it's mostly just due to the fact of, Sean, I can't see.
Toki.
He's doing the bit where it just shows the character names.
I
can't see this one.
I cannot.
I did Koshi.
Koshi, Kira.
This
What?
show's based on a
The show is
novel.
based on a novel.
Novel.
Oh,
Yes.
it's
I
like,
love-
like a novel would have like a
I
chapter.
love no. It's exactly what it is. And when I came to terms with that, I slowly started to like parts of this show more. In that, it's weird to get character flags in that way, where you're like, how much do I need to care? Oh, you got your own title card. Because Kira's the daughter, of the guy, and it's like, oh, you're gonna be important at least for a while. And it's nice to kind of have that flag. Yeah, no, I I don't dislike the fancy art style like muralesque painting. I think it's really cool when it's used in ways that I like. The dragon, I like it used there. I like it used in its first appearance with the fire hunter with his dad. Um, I'm not a
Those
fan
two
with. I'm
sucked.
not a fan of
That-
and the stuff in episode 2. I was really. It was like, huh, Toko is cleaning, and thus you have to get a still frame, very pretty shot of her cleaning because we don't want to animate her walking into that room for some reason. But that's what it feels like. Like there wasn't enough importance on that scene to make me go, I know why they're doing that. Which is what it feels like for the other ones. I dig the style of the show and the world, and I like the idea of everything. It's a slow start comparatively to a lot of other things we have. I'm in between about the whole narration exposition stuff because on one hand, I do kind of get it. It's based on a novel, so it probably is just how that's done for a lot of it. A lot of it is probably just spelled out to the reader, and they don't have a good way to adapt that. But like Mason, you said it, and I definitely see the comparison. It feels a little bit like To Your Eternity, and of having a narrator
Yeah.
who needs to explain the world. But the difference is, in To Your Eternity, you have that narrator because one, they are a character, which I always love when that turns out to be the case. That would be wonderful if this show has time to do that still. Two, you don't have characters who can explain what the narrator needs to explain in To Your Eternity. Fushi does not understand what he is or how he works. You need Nanami to tell you how he works.
Yeah.
This show might be better if the narrator was Nanami. I'm not saying that it should be how everybody goes about it. It's like how if it was Morgan Freeman, this would be incredible. But no, I do. There are elements to this I really like. I think the thing that gets me through the Koshi side is that it is by far the weirdest minefield of I don't know who to trust ever anywhere. That whole household I don't trust. It bothered me that we had a scene that was playing dialogue that was not happening during the scene but was happening slightly before the scene where
Yeah,
like
it
the
was real
doctor
weird.
Yeah,
the
that was
doctor's
weird.
explaining it to him but his lips aren't moving because he's explaining it to him earlier and then it syncs back up when they're walking down the I was not a fan. But like, do I trust that the doctor's diagnosis is right? Is it odd that the diagnosis is something that works out so well for them to potentially pick up a son but not an extra daughter, to get an extra heir? Is it weird that the mother stopped the servant from picking up his sister's food that fell when she was clearly gonna go do that, and then no one talked about it at all, and we left it in the air? He has a random secret hidden compartment that is behind a bookshelf, and we're just gonna act like that's a normal thing to do. And ominous music starts to play, which then feels like it gets by on the fact that he tells a very ominous story about, like, the rest of the world. I enjoy it in that regard. There's a lot of tension there that I think is interesting and good about that side of the story. I can't wait till they fucking collide, though, so that I have one story to follow.
I
Personally.
just like to say, I just at least want this show to get to Konoha that we see in the opening.
Yeah,
Because look, this opening is so fucking Naruto. I can't tell you
yeah.
because like at one point we see Kochi just in the hidden village in the rain. We see people fighting in Konoha. Like
Well,
it's super weird,
it
but
is
I'm in
in-
for it.
It is interesting that the part of the town he's in outside of the odd CG manor grounds, is like
Yep.
is constantly raining. I don't know why we use that shot 3 times. It doesn't look good once.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's a really weird shot.
I think, like, I will say it does do its job of making you feel very uneasy about
Yeah.
this whole
And making it
which
feel very
I
grand.
like.
It does do that too. It very much sets it apart from the rest of the environment. The last thing I'll say is end of episode 3 animation. Some people are going to not like the way that any of that looks with the dragon and the combat. I like it because I think it highlights how hectic it is. I think it could look nicer still. Because the guy firing the arrows out of the gun very much just goes and it's very silly if you watch it. He really Sasuke neck ragdolls.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it is that makes the arrows effect really like bounce off and distort when they hit the creature, which is really cool. It adds to the creature in itself. Yeah, no, this is the show I'm by far the most in the middle about. There is probably a couple of things I could have put above it, and there's probably a couple of things I could have put below it, but I decided to put it where it is. That's how I feel. May I offer you a card? A high card. Did you ever want JoJo powers, but tied to playing cards, but everybody's... Wait, I was gonna say everybody's gay, but that's still just JoJo.
True.
But everybody's younger and really hot looking, because that doesn't necessarily apply to everybody in JoJo's.
True.
I mean, so I wouldn't say younger because most of the characters in JoJo's are like anywhere from 15 to 20.
I'm not a
They're anywhere
big...
between 15 and 50.
Yeah.
I personally do not find a lot of the Part 4, Part 5 characters attractive. That's me, and also probably a hot take. However,
I don't know how many people consider.
high
Maybe
card.
Bruno's kind of hot, but like.
Hello, high card. The show opens on a siege assault of a random castle in the middle of somewhere. This girl is stealing a briefcase, and when she gets cornered at a tower, they go, "We got her at the tower." And then she sets bombs on the entire tower out of thin air, and that's how you know this show is gonna be a fucking time. The cards go everywhere, and then we skip time so that people could have had time to find the cards. I love Card Captor Sakura. We get introduced to our main character. We get introduced to our main character Finn, whose own skills seemingly and completely not tied to his card are that he has super video game vision where he goes plot point, plot point, plot point, let's go. And he's also smooth as fuck. I love pickpockets, dude. He's so the beginning. I can't tell you when I watched the first episode of High Card how long that scene felt where he goes through that, like, scouting the area, pickpocketing, and moving on. And I watched Mason watch it, and I went, that happened so fast. Why did that happen so fast? It felt like forever. And that's just a good show, baby. Our main character, Finn Oldman. Gotta love the names of this show. We haven't got a lot of the characters' last names, which is a real shame. They're all wonderful. But Finn's from an orphanage, grew up in an orphanage. Someone needs to tell him and his legal guardian that even if you get the money to stop a landowner from kicking you off their land, they're still gonna kick you off the land. If they want to kick you off the land, they'll kick you off the land, my friend. So Finn goes gambling, like any normal human being does. This is also the time where we realize that different parts of the world are named after the different suits of the cards. Spada country. He goes gambling. And he runs into the man, the myth, the legend, Lucky Lunchman, who has these sick gloves that let him cheat. And then we soon find out that actually they just mean that he's really lucky and everything's gonna go his way as long as he's wearing them, and they're actually the power of a card. Also, he's here to get... He steps away from a guy, causing him to trip on his shoelaces, knocking into another guy, causing him to fall out a window and fucking die. And then marbles show up.
Pretty good luck.
This is the point where I say, and then marbles show up and things get bad, and if you haven't watched High Card, please go watch High Card. This show's incredible. And I cannot do it justice talking about it. But basically, Finn gets recruited into this group known as High Card, who work under the alias of being high-class car salesmen, and go around collecting the cards. He then accidentally runs into the head of their branch by trying to teach him a lesson about freeing him from kidnappers and trying to teach him respect about when you get saved from someone who saves you from kidnappers.
Maybe say thank you.
This show's power set's incredible. The premise of I'm down for this premise. I have a spreadsheet going for all the cards so I can keep track of the ones we've
I-
seen and what their names are.
I never knew I needed a show that was both JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but also Cardcaptor Sakura, but also the Yakuza series, all pushed into one show. But goddamn, do I need it, and I love it.
This fires the neurons in the back of my young middle school, early high school brain of trying to write a story and going, how do I write a story? Assign someone something based on color, card suite, based on random ability, based on different categories for each abilities in those card suits. Like it's again, all the neurons in my brain are like, yes, this is how you write a perfect show. Yes, and it's proving me pretty right so far. I like Leo. Leo's great. I appreciate that he's just an Advance Wars CEO and he just has the power of money.
I can't tell you. I think I was in a call with Sean when I was watching it. Either that or like right after I finished, I hopped into a call with Sean where I went, I can't tell you how hard I started laughing when I found out his power is just I'm rich, bitch. That's just what his power is. That's incredible.
I do appreciate the personification of Seto Kaiba in an action show. It's nice.
His card is that he is the ultimate affluent progeny.
Yes.
Shit,
No, he really is Byakuya Togami. He's Byakuya Togami if we ever got to see Byakuya Togami's daddy issues, which again is why I say he's Seto Kaiba.
Yeah.
So just to run through the ones we have here, 3 of Hearts, Rockin' Rock, owner, Robert T-1000. 5 of Hearts, our boy Chris Redgrave, who I don't think we've gotten the last name of, but his last name is Redgrave. His power, calories high. He can't die?
But he
His
gets hungry.
metabolism
But he gets
skyrockets.
hungry and he might have a fatal weakness for women. That was just him letting us know the type of man he is. I don't know.
No, he said it makes him very attractive to women.
Yeah, I don't know what that.
That's
I don't
really
know
what
if that
one of his
goes
powers
deeper
is.
than that.
He becomes an immortal ladies' man or something.
Yeah.
What's the
Yes.
exact terminology
Yeah.
of what calories high does?
The most nefarious villain of all time, Bobby Ball, and his special diamond of 3 of diamonds, Marble Rumble.
Which is the scariest way I've ever seen marbles used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is something about literally grabbing a chunk of human flesh and turning it into marbles that is both based and terrifying.
And then also turning those marbles into bullets.
As I mentioned, Lucky Lunchman, whose card was the 10 of diamonds, Unlucky Pokey. Then we have Leo, who is the 7 of diamonds, who is never no dollars. And then we have the character Nyx, who is the 7 of diamonds. Lots of 7s, lots of 3s so far. Who has Lethal Skullville.
Lethal Scoville's fucking broken
Yeah.
shit. Like
All of these
actually,
powers are kind of insane.
But there's no drawback to just being able to create fire that can melt bullets as they are
also-
flying towards it.
We have our boy.
And
But fuck.
We'll get to it. I'm saving him for last. And then we have our boy VJ, whose power is green, which we know is plants, but we don't know what card it is, and I'm assuming he's a club based on the fact that his color is green.
Yeah.
And we know Wendy's a spade. The other spade we have is the 2 of spades, or boy Finn, whose ability is Neo Nunambu. Gun.
Gun.
His ability is
Gun.
but Joker's neutral
But it's
beat
not
is
just
gun.
It's that he can aim perfectly for single shots.
No,
And it
so
flies perfectly straight.
Right.
There is no
Runs the
drop
fly
on the
perfectly
bullet.
straight, yeah.
which is
The
way
duff-
more broken than it
Yes.
sounds.
It's scarier than it seems.
I love the show's bit that is Finn going, I have a gun. I can solve this problem. And everyone going, no, Finn, you can't. You have to think. You can't just shoot everything.
I like the aspect like his gun could fly perfectly straight, so he could prove that the Earth isn't flat.
Oh my god.
I mean, one of the coolest scenes I think in episode 2 is when he shoots the gun. He shoots the bullets through the water to break the glass to help Chris get out of the
Yeah.
car, which he was very lucky he just happened to line that up well.
Which also very much wouldn't work like that because
Don't
water
worry-
kills
don't worry about-
momentum.
it's-
So it wouldn't
Well,
actually-
that's
Especially-
the idea.
well, that's the
The
thing, it
Nunambu
doesn't-
stops that from
It
happening.
doesn't lose
Yeah.
momentum. It's
Yeah, it goes
crazy.
perfectly straight.
The other thing that I absolutely adore was in that episode is Chris going, Finn, you can't just shoot a guy, you gotta think about his weaknesses, and then he rams a car into it off a pier.
Yes.
This show is so cool. This show is so dumb, I love it. I'm excited to
It's-
meet the rest of our cast in more depth and see what other
Like-
bullshit they have for us.
This is the show that I feel like if I have someone who I'm like, man, I really want you to watch JoJo's, and they go, no, I'm not watching that, then
Okay,
I'm going to
watch
show them
Icon.
this, and then I'm going to be like, okay, now watch JoJo's.
It's this on crack.
I
Instead of now it's playing cards instead
yes,
of tarot cards.
actually insane.
Yes.
One of the things that one OPED slaps, of course. Fire Hunter's opening also slaps.
Yes.
Giant Beasts of Ars stuff was okay. I don't remember them a lot really. Just because that was
There's a lot of openings I don't remember very much of.
Giant Beasts of Ars is the one where it's like weirdly techno.
yeah. No, but these openings EDs are really good. I'm so excited to meet this cast. I did not know I needed an Ocean's 11 anime. But here we are. God.
The show's just extremely fun.
I want to
I
remind
like all these
everybody.
characters.
I want to remind everybody that we picked me, John, Michael, Mason, Michael, John, me, and I got this show.
You okay? I should.
Such a smart decision on my part. I do
I just
not
didn't look
blame you, Mason, because what you wound up
I-
picking as your other two are also perfectly fine. Like I don't blame you for those.
I kind of wish I had picked Fire Hunter third, just because at the end of the day, I felt like no one else was really gonna pick it, but
Probably
I was like, no,
not.
I'm really in on this show.
Probably not, but to be fair, you could have said the same thing about Tomo, where I would have hard slammed this first pick if I wasn't picking Tomo.
Yeah. Fair.
God, this show's so cool. I mean, and for again, it's been a while since I hopped over to it. I mean, it's in everybody's top 4, if not top 3. Like, it's just a good show. And we're gonna. And by the way, this is our strongest batch of 4 shows, so let's keep going, in my opinion. Hi, John.
Yeah, our twos are really good.
And which one was next for me? Let's see.
Angel Next
Angel
Door.
Next Door spoils me rotten.
This is a slow burn classic romance, but the twist is that he's not really that interested, but he kind of is, but he really isn't, but like he kind of is.
No, he definitely is, at least now.
He definitely is now.
Neither
After
of
his mom.
neither of them
It's
were
never
at
the idea that
first.
He wasn't.
Basically it's like characters really liked at school, and he's like, here's an umbrella. I insist. And then just leaves. Because she's getting rained on at the park, I think,
Bitch, why are
right?
you depressed? Take an umbrella.
Here, you're depressed. This'll fix it. You'll be slightly less wet.
Walks away.
Runs away. No questions asked. But this is just your cute, wholesome next door anime. I like the couple. I think they're great.
I like both
I like
couples.
the mom. The mom was the best OG. Who's just like, so you're the girlfriend, right? And she's like, no, you see, I'm not. Okay, but the girlfriend. We use first names in this family, so you'll be calling me by my first name, and I'll be calling you by yours. What is your first name? Thank you. But
Oh, you don't want to call him by my first name? You want to call him Mother? That's fine. We'll do that. What's wrong with that?
I also like
the
the
family.
friend couple at school where he's like,
Yes.
listen, I need to buy a gift for this friend of mine who is a girl. And she's like, so you're interested in her? And he's like,
No.
no. Then why'd you choose the cute thing? And he's just like, fuck you.
I'm gonna
But-
pinch your cheeks. You can't do that. Fine. Boyfriend, pinch your cheeks. This isn't fair anymore. I like this abuse.
I also like how he's just like the girlfriend just comes in and it's just like, wait, you have a girlfriend? And she's like, well, I want to be friends with that person. And then he just goes, well, I feel bad for my imaginary girlfriend.
I've never watched the show and thought these couples were made for John harder than this show.
Yeah. That girl that is in the couple already is just my girlfriend. There's a
That
couple
is
pictures of
nope.
people-
That is exactly what I
that's
thought while watching
exactly-
it, and I
Christmas
barely
season.
talked
I
to
just
her.
go, huh? That's just you. Which is why I literally said to Amber while I was watching some of these shows. I think the best example of it comes up later when it's like the child from Buddy Daddies is just Amber. as a character, as a child.
We cannot
There's
talk
a
about
problem.
that. We cannot open that door yet. That is a conversation for in 5 minutes.
However, yes, that character is just my girlfriend.
Christmas.
I like the main character though. She's great. She cooks. She cleans. She's smart. She has family.
You let him cook.
She let him cook. But the show what was the word? This is just Toradora but modern, isn't it?
This is just every romance ever. It's the most generic slice of romance ever,
It's not the most
and
generic.
and
It's not
it
the
is
most generic.
perfectly fine because it does nothing wrong. It is the it has not made a misstep at all in terms of the romance structure character dynamic. It's fine.
I forgot to say my best line for Fire Hunter
What did
is
you
just
do?
so I'm gonna drop it in here real quick before we move on and talk about Angel. It's just that have you ever guys sat in a show and gone, I wonder if aesthetic and soundtrack can giga carry a show?
Yes. I can answer that question for you.
And the answer is
yes.
probably yeah. I don't know if it's that one. Anyways,
We're gonna find
this show's
out.
cute. I enjoy it. I like the couple. I like the characters they've introduced so far. It's gonna be that classic rom-com where it's like, here's the main two, here's some friends, here's some expanded characters. You know,
I don't wanna
the opening slaps.
I don't want to speak. Yes, but stop doing this. Stop picking rom-coms that have for no good reason bomb-ass openings.
Horror Mia is still one of my favorites.
No, that one's fair. That one deserved it. I'm talking about fucking
I loved
Tonikawa.
Tonikawa was
No,
good.
it wasn't. Stop.
It was okay. It was okay.
Tonikawa has way more flaws than this does. But my point stands.
Yeah.
This is if you gave me a cookie cutter structure for a show, for a rom-com, for an anime, you would get this. Like with a couple of variations, but you would get this dynamic exactly. And just like every rom-com, I'm going to have issues with it. The biggest one in this regard is that they play so much of the time with the fact of a guy and a girl can just be friends, they can just live next to each other, they can just interact, and it can just be that. And I love that theme, and it's going to go out the window the moment it's going to go out the window in terms of it backing that theme as soon as they get together, which is unfortunate. It's just something that I've come to realize is something I'm always going to have to deal with when it comes to rom-coms that like to talk about this topic. I just can't escape that. I don't want to talk for literally all three of us, but I did not think I was going to like this show. I wasn't a big fan of it episode 1. Somehow I really like it by the end of the 3rd episode. This can't stay for long or it's going to be here forever, and I don't like that, and John can't get in the top 3 that way. In my opinion, the main female is my least favorite of this group, of characters. She just hasn't clicked with me yet. I really like the delivery of the main male lead. I really enjoy his character, more than I thought I was going to. I don't dislike the main female character though. I just feel like she's the weakest out of the cast we have right now. I don't have anything that I really cared to enjoy about her. She feels like worse Taiga. In my mind. Or less interesting Taiga is probably a better way to word it. This show got me really scared when he picked up her ID and the thing he noticed was her birthday, and I thought it was going to be an age thing, and I was like, "Show, you did so good. You did such a good job of avoiding this plot hole." If I had a nickel for how many manga animes I've seen or heard the description of that involve a middle-aged college guy and a high school girl, I could scream. And I was like, no, and I was like, okay, we're safe still. Still safe. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. So I think I could speak for the three of us that aren't John.
Again.
When, after the first episode, we were not the biggest fans of. We were like, this is whatever, but we were like,
I agree.
We didn't see the dynamic that wasn't hidden in episode 1. But in episode 2, it just started clicking. Episode 3, the mom was fucking amazing. The mom had me fucking dying the entire time she was on screen.
She shows up the door. He opens the door and goes, "If you could please leave." She's like, "I pay your rent." He's like, "Yes, please come in."
He's like, oh, yeah, okay. She's just so good.
Just
Mom,
don't
you
go
can't
in,
just come in
just
unannounced.
don't go into my bedroom. Oh, so you're hiding something. That's not what I meant.
Oh,
Open
you're hiding
door.
something. So we are entering your bedroom.
Open door.
And there's just a girl sitting
And
there
she's just
sleeping.
I like that
sleeping
they
and
did
it's
that too.
adorable.
Where it's not just like they played around like, oh, she's gonna like sneak out or something. It's like, no, she's gonna open the door. She's gonna be sitting there asleep.
She fucking
Like-
she fell asleep. What a babe.
The show's just like cute. I think that this dynamic between the two of them is just really good. I think
It's-
that these two friends are the exact way you portray a friends who are a couple existing with a person they're mutually friends with. That they will just do couple things in front of them. They go, "Can you stop?" And they go, "No, fuck you."
I'm in this sentence and I don't like it.
We're in this sentence and we don't like it. He's talking about our college experience together. That's right. We were in a happy relationship and our friends had to deal with it.
Me looking over at John.
Yeah.
What? What? No.
Me,
But yeah.
me coming out to Michael watching the Trolls movie for the 5th time in 2 months.
That wasn't my fault.
No, but it was your then partner's fault.
Correct. But yeah, I don't dislike it. I think maybe I do agree that Sheena's currently like the weakest of the four, but that's because we very clearly are getting like little hints that there's something more, that she has parents that are not good.
Don't exist? I don't want it could be anything. Spin the tragic backstory wheel. I'm excited to see what it
Yeah.
lands on.
Parents dead. Parents parents are too
Maybe
strict on
maybe
them.
it'll surprise me like the next show we're gonna talk about. Mason, do you have things you want to add?
Nah, I mean, you guys pretty well summed it up. Like, I wasn't a fan of this show on episode 1. It's gotten better since episode 3, but it is extremely generic romance.
Good news,
Cool.
guys. We're under 2 hours and we're halfway through. Surely we won't have a lot of things to talk about for the next 6 shows.
Nope, we definitely
Oh
won't. Okay.
no!
The next
Oh,
Buddy Daddy.
yeah.
The show's by PA Works. It's very cute. These two main characters are very good and definitely not gay, we swear. They're definitely just roommates.
And I'm sure definitely
yeah.
no one's gonna compare this little girl to Anya because no one would ever do that because
Yeah,
by
no one would
nature,
ever
that's
do
the
that
last
with
season.
anything.
Like no one would ever downgrade a show just because the character isn't Anya.
Yeah, no one would ever be like the entire anime community that looked at Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting and went, "Aha, she's not Anya, therefore this show's a 6 out of 10."
Yeah.
Definitely.
Anyways,
not the anime community.
anyways.
I'm here to
Anyway,
load a
Buddy
gun.
Daddies is PA Works coming back with a fucking bang after their 2 shows that are generally considered good from last year with Kong Ming, which was a banger, and then most people liked a lot of other people, not us, liked fucking
Uncle from-
Cafe Yakuza.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't
fucking
remember what the- I
everywhere.
don't remember if the show's proper name
Akiba,
was.
Akiba
Oh,
War
uh,
Cap, Akiba
no.
Maid,
Akame War.
Maid War.
Yeah, Akiba Maidwood. Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's a
But
level
yeah,
of humor we
people
just
also
aren't tuned
liked,
into.
Uncle from Another World.
Yeah, people
but
also
yeah.
like Osamake. It's really weird.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
But
girlfriend,
anyway,
girlfriend too. Crazy, wild the world we live.
But yes,
My
this
girlfriend was
show.
hilarious.
Anyway, this show is
I
about
should have made it further than
two-
some other things. I'm
two
saying.
roommate
Shouldn't.
guys who work for the same assassination crime syndicate something. They perform assassination, seems like, is their general job description.
They
Um,
try to.
Yeah, they try to. They're
Yeah,
not the
tend
greatest
to.
at it, but they try to.
They're
Actually,
50,
they're
they're,
the
they're
first one we see
50-50.
them do,
Pretty shitty.
yeah, the first one we see them do, they're to kill like some big businessman guy, and at the same time, his mistress is sending their daughter, his secret daughter, to him because she doesn't want to deal with her anymore. They kill the guy, and then take the daughter in as their own, or at least the one of them does, and the other one has to deal with it.
I have a quick anecdote to share about this. I showed my sister was like, "Have you heard of a show called Buddy Daddies?" And I go, "Yes, I'm watching it for my podcast." To which I then went, "Here's a clip from it." And she goes, "This girl's adorable. How do they take her in? Like how does she become theirs?" I go, "Oh, they kill her father." And she goes, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, it's a great
They
show.
killed her dad.
It's a
Simple enough.
wonderful show."
Glad you asked.
What? Where was the point where we were picking this show and Mason goes, "Yeah, don't they kill her dad to get a hold to like?" And then
Yeah.
she comes and we go, "What?"
Yeah,
I didn't read that part.
The trailer, it makes it very unclear as to where this child comes from, because it also shows clips that we get in episode 1 that the brown-haired boy, which isn't in the screenshot, I don't remember character names. This is the thing I'm very bad at. But he has a child that we have heard of. We have not seen. We do not know anything about them. We just know they exist. And then there's the person he had a child with, maybe married, divorced. We don't know, but he sends his money there.
We'll talk about that. Episode 3 gives us some insight into that, probably.
But yeah, a big thing. Essentially, this show, the main plot is these two guys who are very much not cut out to be fathers have to act as fathers for this child, and this child knows none the wiser that neither of them are. I mean, at first it seems like she's none the wiser that neither of them are actually related to her, but then we realize episode 3, no, she just doesn't care. Papa's whoever saves you, and then you cry. Because it's handled so well when Ray comes out and gets her. Saves her from the bad police people.
Episode 3 pulls out an assault rifle loaded with knives and fires them into you rapidly throughout the course of the entire episode. And I'm going to talk a lot about that episode in particular because I have lots of thoughts.
But yeah, 1 and 2 are generally like kind of cute,
Good.
like funny bits, as funny as you can get with murder.
The action's incredible in this show.
Yeah, episode 2 is great because it's essentially bring your kid to work day. Accidentally. The two of them have to do this thing, and they try to leave her in the car instead of leaving her at home like a normal person would.
Here's the
They try to leave her at home
problem.
and she acts like a dog and alerts the neighbors.
Here's the problem. They're the worst people ever because their first instinct is, we're going to leave the child alone. Completely alone. Unsupervised. They come back and they go, this has gone very wrong. What have we done? And then they go the next time, we should take her with us, but clearly we'll just lock her in the car, and that'll go good, except we didn't even lock the car. They're so bad at it. They're gonna get better. We know they get better, because we know they enroll her in school, because of the first part of episode 1.
But yeah, episode 2 is her messing up one of their heists, and episode 3 is them trying to return her, and realizing her mom's a terrible person. And Ray becoming the second dad he deserves to be.
Yes.
So this
the mom's
is
not a terrible person.
this is,
the idea is portrayed that she's not in a position to be a mom.
correct.
She did not want to be here.
So this is blonde is Kazuki, and like you said, black hair is Ray. Papa Kazuki.
Papa Kazuki.
Kazuki Papa.
Ray Papa.
Ray Papa. I want to talk about a couple of things. I think the show's incredible. I don't want to talk about too much. I just want to talk about the things that I really, really like about it. The heavy implication, the original read I got on Kazuki was that he was like, he was a dad who went, I can't be a dad because I'm an assassin. This is not good for you. I have to leave. And they really kind of feel like they portray him like that because of his cold demeanor of, like, not really mentioning his family. Like, a lot of lines that make it seem like he left, like, by choice or abandoned them. And, like, the whole storing money and all that. And then the implication in episode 3 seems to be that his wife died, maybe? And he had to give his child up for adoption, is my guess? Because the money still has to go somewhere. But the implication seems to be that his wife died. And that completely changes the entire dynamic of his character on the dime. The bar scene, as a whole, might be some of the best writing in the first 3 episodes of this set of shows, with maybe one other show having something that rivals it. But I argue that might not be its writing, that's just its direction. The fact that it is a conversation of a mother who doesn't want to be a mother, and wants to give up her child, with a father who wanted to be a father but can't be a father, who had to give up his child, and the fact that the OST that plays behind it is the song she is singing when he walks in, which is the song that Miri knows and sings, but it's slowed down with no lyrics, and it's like a slow, like orchestral version that's very sad that plays over it.
We love leitmotifs here.
I am not worried that one of these shows is going to kill me this season, not at all. This is why I put Tomo number 1, because I wanted happiness in my life this week.
You want happiness and you guys hate generic rom-com.
I'm averting this for as long as I can.
We don't hate it.
No, I really like the generic rom-com. I hate the other one, but we'll get to that.
I hate the boring one.
The other one.
Yeah,
I actually hate the other one.
You guys hate Kudares.
We'll talk about it. When that's not even funny. That's not even it. I'll talk about it. But more Buddy Daddies. Miri's incredible. best character ever written. I might like this show more than Spy Family. I said it. I think I like this show more than Spy Family.
That's kind of blasphemous. That's
Is
a
it?
little,
I don't. Here's the
little
thing.
Yankees.
Spy Family is like a really cool, like long-term collective narrative. This is going to be an incredible 12-episode, maybe more, like concise, focused story, and I really like that. I think Spy Family has a lot of great things in it. This and Yakuza's are fantastic isolated family stories that I love, arguably maybe adore more than I do Spy Family currently, with what I have anime wise. Feel free to talk, buddy daddies.
I enjoy the show. Like, it's fun. There's a reason why it's so high up on my list, but
Child has
I don't
gun.
know. Child has gun.
Why is
Unfortunately, we cannot use that as the screenshot.
Why is the most put together person in this show the child? Stop. That's too real, show. Stop. Do you sleep in the bathtub to hide from the bad people? No. Maybe. Maybe I do. Episode 3 opens with dead dog flashback, huh?
Yeah.
Content warning to our viewers. Episode 3
was-
opens with a dead dog flashback.
So, I was about to go watch Buddy Daddies, and I'm in a call with Sean, and he goes, "Okay, Mason, there's a hard turn in this episode, and you need to be ready for it." And it killed me. And I went, "Oh, it can't be that bad." And I start the episode and see not even the full, because it fades in. Half a second into the episode, I paused and I went, "Oh, fuck, we're doing this."
It was a long,
Okay.
audible sigh that came from Mason.
Yes. That was my experience watching episode 3.
That sounds about right.
Why is Ray so hot when he kills people?
It's because of the
Bangs, man.
undercut.
The bangs.
He goes
It's the
from
undercut.
Miri calls me daddy to you call me daddy also. It's not fair.
He goes from Papa to Daddy.
Papa to daddy. Papa Kazuki Papa.
I mean,
Miri is just Anya's fake dad voice she does to Lloyd, where she's like, "Papa!" But it's just that, but real, the entire time, and I can't handle her, she's too cute.
That's fair.
I think we don't really need to say too much about Buddy Daddies. It's just good.
Loads gun.
pretty good.
Go ahead,
Well, that's
Mason. You have
All
one
right.
bullet.
So Trigun. So
Yeah, 'cause he forgot his others.
in case you didn't know, Trigun was an anime from the 90s and early 2000s. It's widely regarded as pretty damn good. I tried watching it originally back when I first got into anime. I couldn't get into it. But I picked this because Vash was hot. I'm not gonna lie, that was most of the reason why I picked it. Because Vash looks hot.
It's
Honestly,
correct.
He's not
Good
wrong.
reason. Good reason.
Yo,
The
Vash, what
CG
that
just looks
arm
really
did.
good. It looks
Yeah,
good in all
no.
the trailers.
Yeah, no,
It's
this
crazy.
is like arguably the best CG has ever.
Hi, Orange might
I
be
will
the best
stand by
CG. Orange might be the best CG studio out there. You should go watch Beastars.
So we start off with kind of the backstory of how Vash became Vash, which is he was on a spaceship that had a bunch of people in cryo freeze, and then it exploded, and he managed to get off of it with his brother Millions or at that point it's Nine. He then becomes Millions Knives. Also, the naming conventions in this show are hilarious, such as our good side character, Meryl Streep, definitely not Meryl Streep, and also Roberto De Niro.
We haven't gotten his last name yet.
We haven't gotten it yet, but that's what his last name is.
Oh, I know.
It's Roberto De Niro. But yeah, so we cut to modern day, like present, where we're on this desert planet, and Vash is wanted for $6 billion double dollars, because he's known as the humanoid typhoon. We get a whole bunch of exposition in how the world works. People need these plants that are no longer being able to be made. to make clean water on this desert planet. People steal them a lot. It sucks. First episode is just kind of introducing us to the characters. It's all like, this is just shown in action. It's cool. And then episode 2 goes, but like, we're gonna continue that, but also some pain, and like father-son dynamics and stuff like that. And then episode 3 goes, how about we introduce our series villain in the most badass, batshit way we possibly can, and you're going to remember who this villain is, because oh my god, he's fucking crazy, and I love him.
God, I hate you. You can't just do this on stream.
I
and
think
say
I'm gonna
nothing.
run out. I think I'm gonna run out of room before I get to a
I was
million, but I'm
wondering-
gonna keep
I
trying.
was wondering what you were doing, and then I realized it when Michael said it. God damn it,
He's
Sean.
He's putting knives, millions of knives.
But yeah, so some things about this show, it's science fiction, with like a lot of future tech and stuff like that. Bash's whole thing is that he's a gunman, but he's a pacifist. He never wants to hurt or kill people. He just wants to help people. That gets him into crazy, zany situations sometimes, and also pain. And then we also find out towards the end of episode 3 that he may be like semi like, it's not magic, but kind of magic, and he just doesn't know how to use it yet. But don't put it on Boji. Don't do that.
That's the knife he's gonna use to stab you.
But we learned that Nye, Millions Knives, is Bash's brother, and he can turn his cloak that he wears into millions of knives and do things with them. And Jesus Christ, is it terrifying? Because, wow, just how they introduce it is he's like, there's a bunch of explosions happening, you can't really see him, and he just starts yanking people in, and then we see blood splurt out. And wow, fuck, okay. I don't know, man, I just really like Trigun. I can't even make full sentences on it, I just really like it.
Yeah, so I'll start. I told this to John and Mason earlier, before Sean got into call. If we had just watched episode 1, this show would have been like my number 10. I did not like episode 1. Episode 1 was too much cheery shonen bullshit, where it was like, wow, Vash is just like a dumbass, and that was his whole character. He's a dumbass who's good with a gun. Then episode 2, like 5 minutes in, gives you the turn of his character where he has like the depressing side. And you go, wait, hold on a moment. Wait, this
You're
is
just
good
a
now.
good character.
And then and then you get all the stuff with Gofsef and Nebraska. And you're like, okay, this is actually like good as shit. This is some really good character stuff here. Then episode 3 sealed it as my number 1 with the fucking visual Millions Knives cutting a fucking mountain into 15 pieces.
Yeah.
That entire final like 3-minute cut was just some of the greatest 3D animated computer shit I've ever seen outside of like actual movies, because this isn't a movie, it's just a fucking anime.
Mm-hmm.
This show's just good. Vash is a super tragic backstory. Knives is a really good villain because he's just insane. He's just a
Yes.
terrible person. I'm also really interested in this idea of this gate. What the fuck does that even mean, Knives?
Yeah.
You just go, you can't control your gate yet, you fucking nerd, and I just go, what's a gate? What do you mean? Because I know vaguely where this show's power scaling goes. Because I know there are guns that can fucking level cities, apparently, or something.
Yeah, you don't
I
know
just
about.
don't know
Yeah.
when those get introduced.
Yeah, there's also crosses that can do.
Yeah.
Are they? Because I thought they were guns. I don't know. Angel arms
it
are
was-
a thing.
Michael, you've watched enough Ruby.
Maybe.
But
John, you go first, because I want to go last on this one.
It's just kind of crazy. It's kind of nuts. I don't know, man. When he takes the bullet and shoots the one mine and just shoots a rock, it's like, okay, pretty cool. And then like the rest happens, you're like, what the fuck? I thought Bash was just a cool, funny guy. No, he's just sad all the time, always, because everybody wants him dead because everyone thinks he's his brother when really, he doesn't really look much like his brother. It's just his brother keeps fucking up shit around him. Because like Million Knives, we don't actually see him outside of, like the cloaks. I don't know why everyone's hunting the brother down unless Million Knives has obviously like made his presence known and then like let them hunt him down. Like I haven't seen Trigun at all, so I don't know any of this. But no, it's very interesting. I'm enjoying the overworking like story built in amongst these small narratives, and I like the fact that like Vash is just sticking true to being a good person, even though the people around him are clearly not. They're just trying to survive for the most part. Everyone's just trying to survive. It's kind of the idea I'm getting out of the show, but action's good, characters are good. The show gets very, very brutal, very fast. But yeah,
One thing before you go, Sean, because
Mhm.
this relates back to like our giant Beasts of Ars and Fire Hunter discussion. I really like that they have Meryl as a character because she can do the exposition in a way that doesn't feel forced. Because they really lean into this. She's a like top of her class goody like
Yeah. You write characters like
student.
this in video games to give you this kind of information.
Exactly, and it's done really well because like the whole plant thing, that's what made me think of it was
Yeah.
when they go into the plant the first time, Roberto goes, "Oh, you probably know all about this, don't you, Meryl?"
She's
Just
like-
like trying to egg her on.
She's like, yeah, I do. And we're like, thanks,
Yeah.
Roberto. I needed that.
Thanks. I appreciate that. It explains to me exactly what the hell is going on. I love that. It's really good.
So, I really love episode 1 of Trigun. And I really love episode 3 of Trigun Stampede. I'm not the biggest fan of episode 2. And this is why it's not my number. If it was this week alone, if it was week 1 alone, it would be number 1. I don't care for the Nebraska family. I'm just not really interested in them. I feel the same way about the bomber. Like as a character, I would either want more time focused on that kind of character with what feels like a good reason story thing I kind of want, or I would want, or I just would want. I don't want them to have the role they seem to try to make them play in these episodes. And the reason I say this is because I don't think anything that happens in episode 2 is standalone unique from episodes 1 and 3. You guys talk about how like it's the good look at Vash, like about him not being only the happy-go-lucky. We see Vash's backstory. To me, it's blatantly obvious that he's putting on this front to people. He's a pacifist. It's really clear that there's such a divide between what the bounty on him has versus how he acts is. Like, to me, everything he does in episode 1 screams self-defense mechanism of like, I have been traumatized and don't want to engage in action and combat. I don't want to harm people. But and this goes to the thing you were saying, John. You were saying, why is he the one racking up the bounty if people don't get to see Million's knives? It's because wherever Vash goes, Knives finds him, or it's Knives' target. Vash is trying to track him. He is trying to stop him from taking the plants back, from making things go wrong, from killing more people. And either you get the situation you get in episode 3 where they go, "You're his brother, get the fuck out of here," or you get situations where they go, "You showed up and all this bad shit happened. That's on you. Get out of here." If he's lucky, like if he's lucky, they tell him to leave. If not, he's probably chased out at gunpoint. I love Vash. I think he's a super compelling character right away. I love the role that Meryl plays. I love Robert. I love Roberto as a character. Because he is the person who most understands what is going on constantly in the setting. He can very easily pinpoint, kind of what's going on around or like in Vash's own head before even we the audience knows. He looks at Vash and he sums him up real quick, and it's a great character moment. Episode 2 feels like it has to hit home the point that Vash is this pacifist and that people turn their backs on him even if he does good for them. And it just, to me, it felt like it was nailing in points I already got from episode 1, and that the show was clearly going to keep building in episode 3. To the point that it almost made Billion Knives' points with Vash, where he's like, you don't take action. You stand there and make empty threats. And he says it so much, combined with episode 2, that I'm kind of like, yeah, I get it. I get that this is the thing. This is the Vash thing. You think he's a coward. I get it. Like, it almost wore it too much for me. And it kind of is one of those things where it felt like we were set up for Vash to leave this spot, and then these two guys just show up and cause mayhem, and it's kind of out of nowhere. It's kind of like their purpose is to be here to die, like I get it. There's a family theme there that works kind of well, especially with Vash and Million of Knives, and with the owner of this city, the bartender, and her kid, and her kid on the way. There's a lot of stuff there that all works really well together combined. But just for me watching it, I did not enjoy episode 2. And while episode 1 and 3 have extremely stellar animations, there is something about the car chase in episode 2 that just dies for me. Where I watch and I go, this is not engaging. It's not interesting. There's no intensity. There doesn't feel like there's any threat or danger. And maybe it's the speed they're going. I just don't think it works well with the CGI. It's the one point in the show so far where I've been like, I just rather you didn't show me that. That makes it look bad. And like, not in like a visually want to blur my eyes up, but like I'm not engaged by this, whereas the rest of the show had me. And I'm probably being really hard on Trigun. And it's one of those things where it's cause for me, it's in the top show bracket. So this isn't going anywhere. But I'm going to pick it a lot, especially because of the stuff I really like about it. Because even like we said, Knives comes back for this grand entrance, but at the end of episode 1, you get Roberto going, Vash, what are you afraid of? And it does the cut to Knives playing the piano in his weird cathedral with statues of angels, losing his fucking mind. And it's such a good first introduction to a villain where you go, oh, I'm terrified. I'm terrified and amazed all at once. And then you break that by going into the episode 2 structure and then bring him back in 3. And it's like, what an odd... I know you're building time for him to get there, probably, is what the show is doing, realistically. It's just... It was something where it was a perfect episode 1, a perfect episode 3, and 2 kind of had lost me, and I'm really glad 3 pulled me back. That's where I stand on it. The scene at the end of 3 where Vash is walking away at night, and Meryl looks at him, and the screenshot where she just goes, how are you smiling? Fucking, I adore Vash. I adore Vash as a character. Mm-hmm. He is wonderful. I'm really excited to see where his character grows. And how he changes and what they do with it. Because you can play with a pacifist character in very interesting ways. I'm very curious to what they do.
One other thing I wanted to mention that I think is a very good touch, for like updating the show and in the remake, notably, Meryl and Roberto. For one, in the original, Meryl is not there. It's a different character. I forget their name. Mm-hmm. But in this, they're journalists, so they're trying to get a story. In the original, they're insurance agents who are following Vash to make sure, like, they're following him because he's known as, he just creates mayhem, and they're following him to get, like, a quote on the damage and everything, and pin it on him, and then they realize, oh shit, it's not him. Oh. Well, fuck, we gotta keep following him so we can find who it actually is. But it's a nice update. For, like, it makes more sense now, I feel. Mm-hmm. So, it's a good touch.
I adore the CG in this show. Like you guys were saying, overall, the CG in this show is fucking beautiful. Orange is incredible. The fact that doing this in CG gets to highlight the alien tech on everybody is so good. Such a nice, like, you spot it and you're like, oh, it glows. It's this turquoise-esque color. It's from space. Like, it's,
Mhm.
well, like, before it was, I think it was just metal in the original, from my recollection. Because if you asked me if Ash had an alien metal arm, I would tell you no, until I watched this. That mine shot rocks. Everything about the Million Knives scene is sick. I'm excited to know and learn more. And also, I look at this, and there are times where I go, yeah, I see where certain things take inspiration from this.
Yep.
OP fucking slaps.
Yes.
And now we get to wind down to not as intense shows. Welcome to Reborn. If you ever wanted to be an old man who lived the most successful life you ever could, king of kings, perfect being, you get to deliver the sick ass line that is, "My people do not cry for me as I die," and then you die right there. Just fucking croak as you tell them not to cry for you. It's perfect. And then a goddess goes, "Hey, you wanna spin again?" And he goes, "Hell yeah, baby! I wanna fucking punch shit." I love this old king who's like, what if I didn't care about people? What if I just let loose? And they're like, gotcha. And then becomes a girl, and he's like, this was not part of the plan, but we'll go with it. And I appreciate that. And Mason and I were talking about this, and I think it still stands even through episode 3, oddly enough. This show looks like it should be very ecchi, and it's really not. Even the bath scene they do is probably one of the most, like, not sexual bathing scenes in, like, an isekai reincarnation-esque story that I've seen in a very long time, where they're just kind of there. There is the bit where they do the boobs joke, but it literally passes so quick my brain forgot. Also almost had an Amanda Mother moment there where the fucking the head of that city walks in and there's like, I have so many children. I'm like, stop this. Stop. Why is this a thing we're doing recently? Stop adopting children in anime. But Reborn follows our hero king as he is now just a noble girl. And he still understands how all of the mana aether system works. Mana being more condensed aether being like the actual form of like magic in the world. And so he can go, oh, these people don't know anything about magic, eh? I can just manipulate it without them knowing it. Which means he can skirt around getting a crest, which skirts around him having to get, like, to serve and, like, fight as, like, hard army and, like, with a very, like, particular role and being, like, seen as, like, a chosen one. He also gets to obliterate, I forget, are they magicite beasts? That's what my brain's saying. I can't believe I pulled that out of my skull. He obliterates one as a baby. It's hilarious. I adore that scene. It's just the baby and it's just laser. He has the childhood friend who must be protected. She must be protected at all time. Not gay. Totally gay. Not gay. Childhood friend goes...
It's not gay because he was a dude?
It's not gay because she wants to pair her up with her brother. Not gay.
Or
A
not
little
gay.
bit. There are parts
But,
of
like,
this...
he's gay for her, but isn't gay because...
There are parts of this is one of the shows that I think handles the older guy in a young girl's body in an actual surprisingly good way. Where he's just living the life as a girl. And the only times you really get quips about it is where he's like, this life's more of a hassle now. The world kind of sucks. This should not be how the world exists. The scene where he walks into the party and he's like, men are leering at me. I don't like this. Was this how I was? Fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, we did a bad. Is his name Rawl?
Yeah, that's the
That's the ass
Highlander.
hat. Yeah, he becomes a Highlander, who are the people who rule over in the floating city, and come down.
They live in High Delta.
Yeah, they live in High. Thank you, Mike. I'm glad you thought of it, because that was the only thing I could think of. They live in my D&D setting. Yes, perfectly. No, he comes down. He's like, look how he comes as like son of a merchant traveling group and kicks shit out all the knights because it's using magic to slightly distort their vision. To which I think one of my favorite
he slows
points.
them down. Slowly.
Yes, one of my favorite points was is our main character, who is both named Ignis and also Chris as a nickname.
I guess.
Just a convenience thing, I guess.
I guess.
It's a really odd thing. I don't think they explain well of why she's called Chris. But she is. Where she just looks at the brother. I forget his name. It's a very knight name.
It's Raphael.
Yeah, there you go, Raphael.
Yeah.
She looks at Raphael, is like, don't look at him. And he just decides to stare at the ground the entire fight until he runs into a wall, and I think that's really funny. And then she bodies Rawl. And then Rawl comes back, and is a sex pest, and lights a dude on fire for trying to stop him from being a sex pest. But then it's all okay, because he gets turned into a massive beast. Maybe that's not okay. But we also get to meet this cool holy knight, cool holy paladin, Leon? He's a Leon, right?
Leon.
Yeah, and he's got these
Yeah.
cool like tiger gauntlets, and he introduces them to proper noun I do not remember. What are the girls called? It's a weird fantasy word.
See, my brain just calls them Renaissance, and I know that's not the word. That's the Tales of Arise thing.
It's Hyris Mena.
Hyris Mana, thank you.
Yeah.
I got the
Renaissance.
magic.
It's very close
I-
to Renaissance.
I pulled Magicite Beast out of my brain. Thank you for pulling that
Highness
one.
Menno was not a thing I was remembering.
Thank you for pulling Highness
Yeah.
Mena. They meet this Highness Mena, which we don't really get a good explanation of exactly what they are, besides that they make really powerful artifacts and are strong. Did I mention our main character's a battle junkie? Cause that's the show. And our main and the menace, yes, that they meet is like I don't want. The Hyris Mena is like, I don't want to talk to you. Walks away. They're like, Leon, what's up with that? And he's like, don't worry about that. And our main character's like, okay, sex pest, I'm gonna come to your mansion tonight and kick the shit out of you. And that's gonna solve my problem, even though it won't, and I know it won't, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Everyone else also did it like, no, we came to the mansion to kick the shit out of him.
It's
No, I
really,
came to the mansion to
it
kick the
is
shit out of
really
him.
good that all the female characters
Yeah.
come to the mansion to kick the shit out of the dude. It's really funny.
Yes.
You're better that the male character also goes to kick the shit out of him, kind of.
Well, he goes to kick the shit out of him in a different way. He turns into a
He goes to be a-
magicite.
He goes to be a terrorist.
Yeah, he turns
Yeah.
into a magicite beast, and it's like, there are people in this world who do not agree with the Highlanders, and imagine if we just slaughtered the Highlanders, and the main character, and Chris is like, I don't know if that would, I'm not gonna say no because I think you're wrong. I'm gonna say no because if I side with you, I don't get to fight her anymore. And they go, what the fuck's wrong with you? And she goes, power level increase. And then and then decides, I can defeat your exploding lion shock beasts if I just simply hit them and dodge really fast afterwards. If I just move so fast that I'm not within the area that they explode. And the other girl just goes, that was not what I meant by this. I meant attack from a distance. And she goes, same thing. And then she also goes, but I don't have enough energy to do this. So this will be a little bit rough. And then Leon escapes, and a giant magicite beast is what Rawl turns into. And then they cover up the fact that Chris is going to kick the shit out of it herself by kicking it even farther away from the city so Chris can go deal with it without prying eyes. And then they become knights, and they leave the city.
To point out, by the way, she goes, "Hey, Eris, come help me kick this thing a mile away." And then afterwards, Eris goes, "What do you mean you did all the work there?
It's
I
really-
didn't do anything."
It's like,
And
I
she's
could
"No,
not
no,
have done that
said
if I
follow
wanted to.
me." And
Follow
Chris just goes,
me.
"Follow my lead.
I adore
What part of that don't you get?"
What's the sister's name?
Ronnie?
Ronnie.
I adore the fact that Ronnie's just like, yeah, I understand what's going on here, and it's just a secret we keep. Now you're a part of our secret circle of keeping secrets. And then she's just like, you now owe me. And Chris is like, sure, whatever, sounds good.
That's understandable.
That
I'll
means
take it.
that means I'll
Take my
beat you
cover.
again later. I can fight you then. And she's like, please stop being this. And then they leave to become knights. And are both apparently massive fucking pigs and just eat everything everywhere. Which, you know what? Fair.
They have Luffy syndrome. It's
Yeah.
fine.
And so to make money, they go to the Highlander in charge, who's this nice lady with a weird crest, and she's like, "Hey, I need your help. We have this faction of knights from the previous ruler who are kind of asshats, and we kind of need to stop them." And then they take a band of 5 people, sorry, 6, because it's them, the Highlander, and like 3 random messenger knights. and they show up, and the former knights all come out and they're like, "You've made a grave error." And Chris goes, "Oh, did I?" And then another fucking proper noun drops from the sky, and she goes, "Yes, you did."
Minus Mena
Yes.
or something.
Yeah.
I like this show because it's goofy and it's middle of the road fantasy reincarnation stuff. It's fine. It has bits that makes me laugh. I don't hate it.
It is very much the skeleton knight of this season, where it's just like, this is the bar. Are you below it?
Yeah.
Are you above it? Cool.
Yeah, the show's just like a fun time. My biggest nitpick with this show, which is just a nitpick that only I have because I am annoying, is that I hate the way the smiles are drawn. I think their faces look dumb.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
I have to hold myself from, like, it's this weird mixture of hatred and laughter I have when I see it. It's
Like,
something
the
about
opening,
the smug
The
look.
moment you see her face at the start of the opening, I'm like, God damn it, I fucking hate that smile. I don't know what it is
Okay.
about the way they draw the smile, but I hate it.
So I've made this comment in
It's
the
such a
past.
minor nitpick that it doesn't actually matter.
I've made this comment in the past, and it came up specifically
I got
on
a
my
nitpick for you.
first season. I recognize that smile. I recognize who draws it. I don't know their name, but I recognize it. And it came up from Remake Our Life when the same thing happened. It's because it's a Dojin artist.
I was gonna say, it's so obvious. It's so obvious that's what it is.
I got one too, guys. Anyone else feel like the eyes are just slightly too far apart on the characters in this show?
Sometimes.
That's
So,
fair.
specifically Ronnie. So Ronnie, her eyes just feel
Yes.
so far away from her face, and it's just like I can't get over that. Every time I look at her fucking character, I'm like, I just want to like smush your face together so it looks more normal. Just like make you the idiot sandwich you are. It's not that this show is bad. It's not that I absolutely hate this show that it's at the bottom. It's just the fact that like this show just feels too everything I've seen before, if that makes sense.
It's just like up
Oh,
there in
for
the most like
sure.
generic isekai bullshit ever.
And I just don't. I'm not buying it again. It's like I've drank this Kool-Aid before. I'll drink it again later with rom-coms, but like for some reason this generic is just like I'm not into it. I'm just not into it, and it's like I don't know. The characters are like too OP. The other characters just don't matter. Which I never really like. It's like,
Hey,
okay,
Ronnie's
great, he's a
neat.
fighting junkie, but there's no stakes because he's so broken already.
Yeah, that's the point. Is that in a power fantasy there aren't stakes. That's the whole
Yeah.
bit.
And I get the bit. The problem is I've seen the bit so many fucking times at this point. Anthony
It's just
Sakai,
whether you enjoy the bit or not, and it's just not your thing.
and I don't.
And that's how it be.
They could have just made him a generic shonen protag guy though. Why'd they have to make him a hot girl just because of clicks?
It's real.
Yes.
No, it's because it's funny.
It's not though.
It is
It's
a little.
boring.
It is a little funny sometimes.
I've seen it before.
I don't know. I personally, I don't know. I like the character. I like the idea of it. I
don't
think
hate it,
this
it's just
world
like-
could have interesting stuff in it. I'm not that engaged right now. You're telling me the Order of Holy Knights and the wealthy high bloodline people who live in the sky are bad? Whoa, crazy! I have that plot point in a D&D campaign, as Michael was saying.
I watched that happen in Tales of Symphonia, which
Right.
came out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Actually, 20 years ago.
I mean, I'll
now.
give
It
this
also
show.
happened in this other thing that came out like 3 years ago called Tales of Ars.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll give credit where credit's due. I did not see the Leon turn coming. You wouldn't have caught me on that
Yeah.
one. They do
Yeah,
that at the end of the
didn't expect
episode, and I go, what the fuck?
Didn't expect him to be a terrorist.
Yeah, no, you can't say that was on my bingo sheet, but probably should always be.
Like 5 of my spaces were Inglis is going to fight someone. None of them were Leon the terrorist.
English pops up her pie chart of how she spends her free time, which is still one of my favorite shots of the first
That's-
episode.
It's a
The
really
prize
good
that
one.
isn't the screenshot is the 85%. I just want to fight
Fight.
him.
Well, no, I was doing episode 3 screenshots because there were lots. Because if I was doing not episode 3 screenshots, Buddy Daddies would have been Miri holding the banana. Because that screenshot's wonder. I would have gifted that because her with the banana as like up in the air as they're having a serious conversation about assassination is great.
Was that not episode 3 where
that was-
she grabs the banana and becomes the ape escape monkey?
I thought that was 2.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Thought it also
But,
happened in 3. Maybe.
No, I think this show's fine. Like when you do power fantasy, you either go bad shit insane and your point is to be comedic about it like Misfit is, or you manage to tap into this power fantasy is so far gone that the important part is not that the main character is ever at threat, but the people around the main character is at threat, and that's like slime.
Yeah.
And like I feel like you hit one or the other, or like you're somewhere on the in between. If you're on the in between, it's just kind of like it's here. And that is for sure how I feel about this. It's here. Hey, John.
Hey, Sean.
The ice guy and his female
John, my
colleague.
complaints with this show are not going to be what you think it is.
Honestly, there's not much to say about the show. I think it's really cute. I just think cute things happen. Characters are great. I like the dynamics between the main four. Our main boy is adorable. I love that like she gives him this straw to protect her plants, and then in the next scene, you just see little huts around all his plants in his house to protect them from the snowstorms he causes while being in love with this girl. I like Ice Guy. He get emotional. He produced ice because he's basically Ice Spirit is his mom. Wonder what happened to the dad, but his mom is Ice Spirit. So he is a snowman.
It's not that his mom is an ice spirit, it's that his family is descended from Yukiona.
Well, I think he's specifically his mom in the
Well,
show.
the idea is a Yukiona is a female creature.
Yes,
so
it's always
he's a descendant
in
of a
mythology.
female because it's a Yukiona. I don't think it's explicitly said his mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that concept.
Yeah. Yeah, don't
But-
trust me. That's exactly how that works, and we shouldn't trust Komodo Jihin on that one.
Yeah.
Male
I-
Yukiona, go burr.
I don't mind the fox girl. The fox girl just like gets excited at fox ears. But actual real fox ears. Also there's just a dude. Like and like our
Yeah,
main
they
character is just a girl, and I
They
like that.
stole
I
the
think that's
inspector
great.
main character and shoved him in another yokai show. It's crazy.
Let's not forget this show it perfectly exemplifies how cats work.
Correct.
its
That's
side
the best
story.
part about the show.
That is.
I love when she brings
Yamera.
home the television for him to sit in, and then he sits on top of it, or in the box, or in the bag, or
The best.
and then finally sits
no,
in there.
the-
And she's like, "I need to take a picture,"
yeah.
and he gets out, and she's like, "It will happen again. It is okay."
That's the best part
Um,
is when she goes to take the picture and the cat moves and you go, God fucking damn it. Later.
I just also like the bits where it's like they exchange stuff and they're being really cute. Like I think this is just wholesome. It's a good time. They're very cute. I like these two. I understand the main lead can be boring, but like I like that character trope personally because it's like it feels like the character's gonna slowly develop during the show. 'Cause I've seen it before.
I'm gonna get my one good thing I like
And I
about
like
this
his
show.
training arc. I
out
like
of
his
the way.
training arc to get ready for vacation, where he's like, I will prepare every day and think about the beach, and I will be okay. And then goes, wait, the sun, fuck, I'm gonna melt.
So I don't like most of the cast because most of the cast has done jack shit. I don't know anything about them. The basic line I have for a lot of them are their general reaction to the one bit the show has. However, I like this female lead. She's the best part of the show for me because I think the character who is so socially awkward that her answer is go Google a thing and find a really strange fucking answer to it to provide a gift to is funny. I do like her bits where she's like, I didn't know how to fix this problem, so I Googled it and found out that I could hand you my cat's whiskers that have fallen off that I saved for some weird, strange reason, because that's the type of person I am. And also, it gives you good luck. And I'm like, and occasionally it'll do one of those where she'll give something for a reason, and I'll be like, but also, and I'll know the but also. Like when she gives him the drum, and I go, but also the sound of waves is calming, and she says it, I'm like, got it. I'm smart too. I like her goofy, awkward, introvert character. I think it's neat. I don't care for the rest of the show. I'm gonna let Michael and Mason talk before I say more points, because I'm gonna get more specific if they don't.
Michael, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I guess I can go first.
I think Mason
Okay.
funny if he goes first because he's the opposite take of Sean, where he hates the main girl.
I mean, I can't.
Go ahead, Mason.
Yeah.
You
but-
can. I don't really care.
Okay.
Sorry, it's other
Yeah.
side.
I mean, so for me, I can't stand the female lead. I actively had to attempt to watch the third episode of this 4 times this week before I finally got through it.
That's not good. That's almost as bad as the I have
How?
fallen asleep during this show.
It's just a good time.
It's not, though. It's just boring. That's the thing. Nothing happens.
How?
Nothing at all. Like, it is just vignettes of the same shit over and over and over again. That's all it's been. The second episode was okay, because they introduced a new concept, and then it ran it into the ground in the third episode.
Question: what is the major conflict in relation to the end of the third episode, John? What's the conflict they build at the end of the resort trip?
At the end of the resort trip?
Yeah, what's the conflict we're supposed to care about going out of that arc?
What do you mean the arc? It's just a romance show. There's no arc.
Well, no. They go to the resort, and what's the next plot point they build? That's like an issue they have to solve.
I couldn't tell you. I watched this like a week and a half
It's that-
ago.
it's
Are we
that
talking about
they're
that they might not be in the same department.
That they might not be in the same department. You know why I don't care about that? Because there's no
That's
way
the
they're not
show.
gonna be in the same department. We've spent not even 5 minutes prolonged in the department with them. I'm not worried that's going to happen. I have no reason to believe he should be worried that's going to happen. Because this show does no build-up to these characters' relationship. They met one day. They met at work. They spent a month together. And you go, what? Wait. Why am I supposed to be attached to them? They've already become characters to each other without me getting their character.
Yeah, that was the point where I was watching the show, because I went into it pretty open about it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I was, like, oh, this might be cute.
I was really hopeful for this one.
And like I was hoping it to be another senpai, and then they did, and then a month passed, and I went, "Excuse the fuck out of me, why?"
That's how adult life works, Mason. First of all, that's 100% how the world works. It's like you go,
Correct.
wow, and a month has passed. It is February.
Correct. Why the fuck should I care about
It
these
was
characters if I
Thursday.
didn't watch any of their interactions except for the first two they had? Why should I care about them and their growth when I don't see any of it?
It's the same way I feel about the other two. I don't. Cool. She pops up and makes smile in her ears integral burr when it is cold. He stands there and goes, "Love." And that's them. I don't have other things about. Like I don't. The most change this show has is the resort trip where he melts into a small child, and I go, this was an odd choice to give me.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of the make him a small child bit. I understand it's supposed to be like, he's a little cute, but it certainly, for a solid moment, I was like, this is giving me Shotokan vibes, and I don't like that.
I also have lots of problems with the whole entire premise of that problem, which is, it is too hot. I melt when I get small, which I melt and get small because heat. Fine. His solution was not to sit in cold water, but a solution can be popsicle for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I'll give you
Also,
that one. That one's more
Quick question. Why the fuck would you go outside at that point?
Well, because he has
Well,
to
it's
go
'cause he
out,
had
I
nothing
guess.
else.
But
Like-
I don't.
The thing is, I'm sorry, it's a work retreat. I get that.
Call
but, like,
off.
But like, anyone
You're gonna die.
is gonna be like, man, oh, you're feeling sick, and you can make the excuse of you're throwing up.
Even
No one's gonna make you come.
also. Sorry, that's my brain.
I mean,
My
she
brain.
might.
My
She
brain
might.
rewired that sentence. High five, our all around team. We did it. We made the same joke. Clown to clown communication.
About that, Mason.
I also refuse to believe she got those popsicles to him without either of them melting.
Right.
I'll give you that
Like,
one.
it's so hot, he is melting. You had to walk a decent amount of time, as the show showed us, and you didn't even bring them in anything. You did just popsicles in the wrapper. They melt. I'm sorry.
What do you have to say about this, Michael?
So I guess I after I was like when I watched episode 1 with you two, and
Correct.
episode 1 maybe it's because you two really disliked the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
more negative impressions off of it.
Sorry.
I then went into episode
Sorry.
2 and 3. I went into episode 2 and I went, whatever. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I thought episode 1 was kind of boring because it was just a whole bunch of just like bits in a row. So I was like, I'm just gonna watch this at 1.25 speed because that's just what I do when there's shows I don't really enjoy. Episode 2 and 3 were I thought they were a great time at 1.25 speed.
They probably
you-
are.
Oh,
if
I
you turn
bet.
your brain off and accept all of the bullshit, it's just like a fun time watching these two characters exist. Still not a fan of the thing with him turning into a child. That was still fucking weird. But, like, I kind of just accepted the stuff, and I guess putting it at 10 is a little bit of a lie. But it's kind of just that I really didn't like my shows that are 11 and 12, and this show just kind of had to end up lower down, because that's just how everything worked. And own show bias, I was putting Giant Beasts over it. Fuck.
That was the right call.
Fair. I agree with that.
I disagree with that, but that's okay. I think it's fine. Just have a show, just be cute, and just have cute couple things.
Yeah, I have Tomo
Like,
for that.
I know. I said
Yeah.
And
I didn't know
Angel.
that's where
My
the
and
exact same thing
Angel.
every
the
time,
other two
but-
rom-coms are just better shows at being
Yes.
rom-coms. But this is very much a turn brain off and just kind of let two characters exist. But you're not gonna get a lot of like character development, so it's hard to be like, this is a better show than something like Tomo and Angel, where I feel like there's something there that we're gonna get, and this is just two characters that will sit there and never confess to each other because fuck you, they won't.
This show
That's
is
the whole bit.
this show is actively making me mad episode 3 because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I feel like you want me to care about the seating moves. I feel like you want me to care about certain and I just can't. Like I can't get myself to care about these characters because it feels like they were just thrown at me. And I was like, haha, funny dynamic. And like it and like it like a show that wants to do funny bits and run it can work. I've liked life lessons. I've liked stuff along those similar lines before. I've also hit shows like this before that I don't like. You're throwing me a rom-com. You're throwing me like a romantic workplace show. I can get behind that. If you're telling me that I need to forgo all the entire workplace element and just turn my brain off and be like, enjoy Happy Couple, my brain's like, that's like you telling me to enjoy Sachiku. I can't. It makes me want to shoot my brains out. I'm good.
I raise you this. If you tell me that I just have to sit here and watch another generic fantasy every season, that's how I feel, Sean.
Yeah.
And there's a reason
It's
you
such
and
the
I have
duality
these
of
shows
man.
at number
Yeah.
1. We'll see whose show goes longer. The unfortunate fact, I'm a king at this shit, baby.
The first fact, all three of you don't like romance as much as I do.
Brain
Again,
turned on.
that's not okay. I don't like it as much as you do. I don't dislike romance shows.
Here's
I
a
don't hate
here's a
romance.
perfect
It's-
counter argument. We all have this show almost at the exact same spot. Michael, Sugar Apple Fairy Tale.
This is a show. I went into the show expecting one thing, got not exactly what I was expecting, but also not the thing I expected it to not be.
That's
So-
a really good explanation of this show.
So, this show.
That's a
it's called
lot of
Sugar-
that's a
it's
lot
called
of words.
It's called
that you
Sugar
put
Apple
in.
Fairy Tale, and it's about a person making candy, and it has a very shoujo art style, very girly art style. It's very clear. You go and you're like, oh, this is going to be like at surface level, you're like, oh, this is just going to be some shoujo silliness. But like, I picked this show because I was like, I feel there's gonna be something else. There's a little bit of something. We're gonna get some darkness here. It was either the design of Shao, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
Or, the fact that I just looked at it and I went, there's no way they're gonna call something. You don't just title a show Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. But like when I think of that kind of title, I think of the show that was like, it was like some moe stuff, but like halfway through episode 1, you realize that they were all on drugs and it was a zombie apocalypse.
Taco Garashi, School Live.
Yeah,
They weren't on
shit like
drugs.
that.
They weren't on drugs.
Michael.
One of them is just so traumatized she was in denial.
Michael,
That's
I got-
besides the point. And just big spoilers for that show because that's the biggest cool reveal of episode 1 of the show.
Michael, we figured it out. The thing hidden in this show? Racism!
Boring.
We found it again! It never escapes the podcast. It's always
We
racism.
don't condone it, but
We
we-
don't
we
condone
don't
it.
condone
It's
slavery.
not
It's-
racism, it's slavery,
It
Sean.
is everything this podcast stands
The
against,
slavery
and yet
stems
it's
from
going
racism.
to stand anyway.
But yeah,
Listen, it's so
Let Michael-
obvious,
let
though.
Michael talk.
yeah, but this show is about our main girl, Anne. That's her name.
Scarecrow.
She is Kakashi, a confectioner. She does sugar and desserts and stuff, and she's going to this contest to present a work, so she can be crowned as a master sugar craftsman or something, whatever
Yes.
is the term. She wants to be a sugar artist, and she wants to be really cool. Her mom taught her, and her mom passed away. So at some point, like right before the show starts, and so she's going, and she needs to get a protector fairy because this world fairies exist. Fairies are created through anything. A water droplet could drop, and a fairy gets formed from it, as we see with our boy. I don't remember his name, but
Mithril Lid Pod.
yeah, Mithril.
Lord
he's-
Menthrolim Pod to you?
Yeah, he's a small little boy who is a fairy who hates humans because, of course, they do. They've been oppressed by humans
Because
for
of
like hundreds of
racism.
But
years.
also, he likes this one human because she nice.
Well, yeah, she saved him.
Mhm.
And so she has to, but essentially she needs to get someone to protect her, and the easiest way to do that is to purchase a fairy. So she gets this fairy who is a warrior fairy. Generally, a warrior fairy is a very big buff guy who would protect you from things.
Baby?
And she has this guy named Shal, who is this very thin boy.
Who's hot?
But he's
Yes.
and
Yeah.
he's very good at, and he can make a sword, and he's very good at fighting. And he's also an asshole.
And he's
Yes.
also hot.
He's also hot.
And there's a lot of sexual
Sexual
tension between her and Shao, like, constantly.
That
for
is
no
why
reason.
this show's a shoujo.
Yes.
Those scenes happen,
Yeah.
I go, oh, there's the shoujo tag. Now I
found
know.
And essentially we just follow Anne on her journey across this, or at least currently, I assume we're gonna get to the end of this soon. It's like the bloody trail or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
It's this like 1,200-kilometer long thing or whatever.
Oregon
That's
Trail.
just-
Oregon
It's just a
Trail.
long trail with no towns along it.
Oh no,
The-
Mithril
there
got
you have small
dysentery.
camps and stuff along it, but there are no actual civilizations between where she is
Yeah.
and the place she's going called Lewiston.
It just
And
kills me.
also,
Lewiston's
there's
up
this
north for
guy
me,
from
and so
her
every time I
town,
hear it, my brain just is like,
um,
up north?
Yeah, the guy from her town who's like a rich kid who had been like really close to her or something and asks to marry her. But she's like, no, I don't like you that way, like 5 times. And he gave off some weird vibes in episode 3. He confirms the vibes were correct. He's a terrible person.
That was-
yeah.
I
Could
was
absolutely call exactly what he was gonna do, like a minute before he did it. Like the moment
Yes.
he walks away smiling, I'm like, he's gonna do some
Yeah.
devious things.
Like
I wasn't.
you get the reveal that
I did
her.
not like the scene where he presses her up against the cart. That was weird.
Yeah.
No, they do
But
a
that's the
really
point.
they do a really good job hard turning. Like even when they're working together on it and he goes in for that kiss, that scene is framed incredibly well for being not comfortable, very awkward from her point of view.
Yeah.
God.
Look, I was not expecting. I was expecting him to ride off
Take
with
it,
it or
steal
whatever.
You know
something
he's
like
the
that.
one
I was
who-
not.
Finish, you go. I'm not interrupting.
I was just gonna say, I was not expecting him to throw a bloody sack at her and sick some wolves on her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love it's him who takes it's him or his fairy who fucked with her sugar.
It was very clearly
Like, it's
Cassie
so-
who did it.
it's
based
so
the way the
o-
whole thing
it's
goes.
so obvious, but
Yeah.
you don't expect it to escalate the way it does. And I think the part that I think works really well for this set of 3 episodes is that you have you have a lot of things that build really well in this show. You have Anne and his relationship where the first time he wants to marry her, it's you're doing this out of pity for my mom dying. The second time it's like you don't you want to do this to try to get me not to do the confectionate thing so that I don't have to worry about it. And she slowly is pushing more and more to just you're an asshole who's not getting the signal.
So, I always had this uneasy feeling about Jonas.
Oh
and
yeah.
I couldn't place why, and I realized it. It's because he doesn't have pupils. And that is the most uncomfortable thing, and I didn't
Got him.
realize it.
You're
But I was
right.
Yeah.
I don't
And I
like
was
that you're
like-
right, but you're right.
Yeah.
and I was looking to confirm because I was wanting to make sure that Anne did, and she doesn't quite have pupils, but her eyes are darker in the center,
Yeah.
and his just aren't. And there's a point before he actually does all of that where they're outside the cart, and he they show his face, and it is just like the most soulless face
Yep.
while smiling.
I know which one you're
And I
talking
was
about.
like, I am uncomfortable, and I
Yeah.
don't know why.
I've never liked a story that involves fairy tales where a person goes, "Oh wow, that's gone missing. I have the convenient solution for you." Never trust.
Yeah.
But I
Yes.
also enjoy that you have the dynamic between Anne and Shell, where Shell is like, "I want you to give me an order. Give me the order. Stop like messing around and trying to be my buddy. If you have my wing, you own me. I am a slave. You're a human. Fuck off. Give me orders." And then you have the end of episode 3 where you can argue she is ordering him to go get her stuff back, and he is refusing because
Yes.
the other option is she dies. And the other thing I really liked the other two things I thought that I thought were really refreshing. Episode 2 ends and I go, wow, this guy in the tavern's gonna be a real asshat next episode. And while he kind of is, not in the way I thought he was. He's just
Yeah.
probably a judge, maybe just an
He
actual
probably is.
confectionist himself.
God, I love the thing they do at the beginning of episode 3 where he judges their stuff because Anne's reaction is the exact reaction you have from someone there.
Yep.
It's the I'm not mad he said it.
I'm mad he's
he's
right.
right.
He's right. He
Yeah.
is so perfectly correct on his fucking judgment here, and he has no reason to be so perfect about it. But she's like, God damn it.
And it's one of those scenes where the other guy who's traveling with Anne, I don't remember his name. I know we've said it at least 3 times now.
Jonas?
Jonas is like, it's okay, and she's like, I don't want to hear it, because he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. It's
Because he's not here to actually learn.
yeah.
She is.
And I love the conversation with Shell and Anne after that, where it's Shell being like, humans grow, you change, it'll be fine, and she's like, stop that. You're right, but also stop that. I don't need you to like fluff it and make it nice to me.
I don't need your
Also,
pleasantries.
it's very nice that the girl that makes Shell isn't her mom. Because, dear lord, was that where I thought that was going. And I was going to be like, been down this road before. And then it's just like, no, she's just the girl who died a horrible
Is
death at
that
the hand of
incest?
humans. And I'm like, I don't think so. Also, stop. Also, I really love that brief gist. Fairies are made when something with a soul is present and staring at the thing that makes the fairy. It's like, cool, neat. What's this other twink in the bar made out of?
What's this other twink made?
Because he's like, you're not a warrior fairy. Turns to his own equally pretty boy warrior fairy and goes, test him. I think that's really funny. I love the line that fairy delivers to Shell, where Shell's like, are you trying to get yourself killed? And his response is, I'm not that broken. Which is, whoo! That line fucking rules. From like a race slave like thing, that line goes hard.
I'm not gonna lie. This show's low on my list just because I like other things more, but
Yeah.
honestly, it's very middle of the pack. for me.
Especially talking through it. It's
Yeah.
better that like my brain had like placed it, because like you kind of forget some stuff as you're watching 12 fucking shows.
Yeah. It's
And like
36
it's kind of the
episodes
nature
in
where
2
there are
weeks.
just better shows than it. But the show is still a very solid show. It's a good time.
It's also
Yeah.
very shoujo, though. Like, you watch it and you go, yep, so shoujo it up, let's go.
Huh, I wonder if this guy's bad. Thinking.
She delivers the line in the cart.
Plots, yeah,
She
a
delivers
lot of
the,
plots are very callable.
the when she's talking to Jonas's fairy, and she's like, oh, you like Jonas, and then the fairy runs off, and then she has that one where she's like, it's so nice that someone can love someone like that. I wonder if that's how Shell felt about Liz. And then she goes, why is my chest tight? And I go, fucking get your shoujo shit out of here. Give me the gritty stuff. And then they
Oh,
throw
my
blood on
chest.
her and wolves are running. And I'm like, yeah. Murder of crows.
Murder.
Her
Murder
turning
of
into a
crows
bad woman is
happen.
the
I'm like,
most adorable
yeah.
thing ever. Where she wraps herself up in her blanket
Yeah.
to make it so Shao can't get the wing is the cutest shit ever.
And then when he walks in after she's crying about the critiques she gets, he's just like, you're doing it again. She goes, shut up.
Like, yeah, yes, I have become a bagworm again. Fuck you. You made me do this.
Fuck you.
Their relationship dynamic is like it's literally the cookie cutter shoujo, and there's a reason it works. It's adorable. I love it. The fucking you're a scarecrow.
Okay.
And
Here's
bitch, then you're a
I will say-
crow.
the one thing I don't like about the show though is it feels so generic at points. Like sometimes
Yeah.
it is like
Oh yeah.
it is throwing it in your face like this is going to happen and you're going to like it. End of sentence. Which is okay, but other times it's just like so like too in your face about it, and I really don't like that aspect of it. I still think the show's good. I just think it's like it's very easy to lose me in the show sometimes with just like
Mhm.
some of the stuff it's going for.
I like.
Um,
I'm never looking forward to watching this show, but I always enjoy what I get by the end of it. Is how I kind of
Yeah.
feel about it. Like it's not that I. It's also that I. It's not that I don't look forward. It's like I could or couldn't watch this show. It doesn't. I was in it to see what it was gonna give me, and now that I kind of know it's not going as hard as I think I wanted it to, I'm like it's fine. But like it's still doing a lot of things that are really cool for what it is. The last thing I wanted to bring up is brain needs to think to remember. What was it? Oh my lord. In and gone. It was something.
okay.
It was something
Understandable.
based on what you said, Sean.
I was just how it's too obvious.
No.
How I don't know. Either way, I don't really like our main girl in this show as much either with Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. I will say as
Mhm.
well. She can be hard to like watch sometimes. Just in terms of like how she like strong-headedly goes into the same situation every way at the same time. But yeah, I don't have too many like hard complaints about the show. It just feels very like I'm still waiting for things to happen in this show too. And even
Yeah.
though things are happening, I'm still going like, okay, but like that's exactly what I knew was gonna happen. Like, can we get something that's like not as in our face about it?
It was not all in relation to
I
what
mean, I
you were
don't hate this
talking
show.
about, but I did remember my point. I think the one thing the show is doing really well is tackling like the colonizer, conqueror kind of topic, which is Anne approaches Shell and is like, "No, I've been taught to treat people equally. I like fairies. I don't enjoy the fact that I had to buy you to be a protector to me. I had no choice in the matter." And Shell's like, "No, you did. Stop, like the way he's so blunt with her about it, I really like."
You
And
can
the
tell he's old.
and the fact that the show is making it very clear that that Anne has room to grow, even being a better person than a lot of the other people we've seen, is really nice. Because you get the scene where Jonas accuses Dewdrop, whatever his name is, I forget. Already. Mithril. And Mithril looks at her and it's a really it's a scene that's written without words from her side where he goes, "You think I did it." And she doesn't answer right away, but her eyes tell you everything. It doesn't matter. She doubts, and that's all you need in that situation to know that there's a racial bias going on there. And like she trusts the word of Jonas and his fairy more than the fairy she's picked up. And whether it's implicit or not, there's biases there that come into play. And
Mhm.
and I really like her response to Shell, where Shell goes, "Do you think he stole it?" And she goes, "That doesn't actually matter." Which could be taken a couple of different ways, and I really like that. That either she's recognized it doesn't matter what her answer is anymore, it's already been done, or that, it's her saying, "I was never mad about who stole it, I was mad that it got stolen," but she couldn't express that in the moment, and that made the situation still bad. That it's a really subtle storytelling beat about something that's a tricky topic that I didn't expect a shoujo show to do so well. And here we are. Our other high dive show.
All right. So Spy Classroom.
Hey guys, spoilers inbound.
Spoilers.
This is a
inbound.
show.
Yes.
This is a show in particular that if you're interested in watching, you should probably just go watch it.
Yeah. please do, because we're going to spoil something that happens, and it will affect how you watch the show. Spy Classroom is about these 7 girls who all are washouts from their spy academy, so they get pulled onto this team called Lamplight, who's run by a guy named Klaus, who's supposedly the best spy in the world. He's the worst fucking teacher. He sucks at it. He's awful. He just doesn't know how to do it. And they've been pulled to do something called an impossible mission, which has a 90% fatality rate. When they go, fuck that, all of us are getting out. And so it's the first couple of episodes are about them training to go on this impossible mission, and then the start of the impossible mission. And then we get to the 3rd episode, where it turns out that Klaus's old mentor, who supposedly was dead, isn't actually dead, and he's a double agent. And he turned traitor for this other company, or this other country, and yeah. And he's there just fucking these 7 girls up while Klaus goes and does the mission and steals back whatever the fuck they had to go steal. I forget what it is. I think it's like a bioweapon.
It's COVID-19.
Yeah, it's COVID.
It's all I could think of when they said it. It's all I could think of when they CJ's got John
You're
already.
right. But I'm still joking.
No, it is like a biohazard, like chemical weapon.
All I could think of was they had the same exact plot point in Final Fantasy XIV. It was called Black Rose then, but it's, I think, Abyss Doll now.
Yes,
so
it's
the
Abyss,
same fucking
It is
thing.
Abyss Doll, which is such a name.
Yeah. Again, it's just pulling for 14. It's fine. And then so they all get, so all 7 girls just get their shit rocked because this man has like 40 years experience on them, and is also the guy who trained the best spy in the world. Clearly they're going to lose. And then we find out the whole show has been a lie so far, and there's actually 8 girls. And they get one good hit on him that poisons him a bit. And it makes his reaction times 1/10 of a second slower, and he still beats their asses. But that's enough because Klaus comes in and saves the day, because he could never really catch up to him. He was always 1/10 of a second faster, so it makes them on even playing field now. And he wins. And then the mentor dies because he gets shot by a sniper.
He
And then
really gets shot by a sniper.
Yeah. He just gets fucked.
He gets big shot.
And so we move on. The girls are supposed to be shipping out because this was just for the one impossible mission, and that's it. And they capture Klaus. They're like, "Hey, man, you told us if we got you, you would give us any of our demands. We want to continue being on this team and you teaching us." And moving on, that's what it's going to be. Is all 8 of these girls are going to be now doing spy things, and it's probably going to be in a 3-episode structure.
At least would.
At least,
Yeah. Man, this show is interesting in that I watched episode 1, went, neat dating sim. I like Klaus. Don't really care elsewise. And then that kind of continued in the episode 2. And then I had the exact same reaction I know Mason did, because he said it to me when we talked about this show for a little bit, where he was like, "We're just going into the impossible mission?" And then I watched 3, and when he said that, I was like, watch episode 3.
Yep.
Because I was like, the episode 3 is the most, we fixed all the problems you had with a show I've ever seen a show pull.
Yes.
Where I'm like, it's really weird. We know that Lily's sting is poison, but we haven't seen any of the other girl shit, and we're already in the mission. Why are we wiping the team besides Lily? What's the plan here?
Are we wiping them?
Yeah, like, I had no idea where the show was going. The only thing I knew is that the one has a bird named Mr. Bernard.
That's all you need to know, though.
It really is. But, like, it does this nice writing where it's like, I told the girls not to, use their powers. We have one hidden in the backpack. The fact that they give you the Klaus flashback before they start the mission, where it's him and his mentor, and it's him doing it, and because it's Klaus going, "There's a chance my mentor's alive." Like, he acknowledges that going in, and you're like, oh, he knows something. And then they give you the flashback where he mentions, I've always about, like, 10 seconds or whatever, 10 milliseconds, whatever it is.
A 1/10 of a second.
A 1/10 of a second slower. And then when the girl stabs him and says it, I'm like,
yeah.
Before,
See,
like,
I had a different reaction to that, which was, God, of course it's exactly a tenth of a second slower. Of course it sets up that exact number.
Yeah,
It's just
but
one of those, like, wow, look at this exact perfect situation. Which is the idea.
yes,
that it was all set up to
it
perfectly
constructs
do that.
perfectly.
But it
I
was just like, wow, look at that tenth of a second.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
um.
It was
I
something.
appreciate that so far we know Lily is a poison. It uses poisons, and the eighth girl is Crow. What?
Yeah,
She's
it's
Crow
just
from
Crow with a
Ruby.
Q.
Bad things happen around her. Silly. And it happens the exact same way it does with Crow, which is really funny.
Yes, it's
Just-
really neat. Like I
Um,
saw that and I was just like, oh man, I want to watch Ruby now.
I will say the thing about the first episode that did kind of catch my interest was I liked their game of cat and mouse on the boat. I'm like, clever. You set things up in a way where I could kind of see it coming. I talk with Michael a lot about this. Like, there are rules to mystery writing where a good mystery will let you figure it out beforehand in a way that's good. And there are elements of this show that uses it and breaks it, and there are things that I've engaged with that Michael has too, that Mason is currently engaging with, that I argue, intentionally breaks the rules of a good mystery, by letting you solve it intentionally by a lot of easy pickups. But, like, someone would argue that for this to have worked out, there should have been a clearer hint there was an eighth girl. And I guess the hint is that bag is always there, is your hint. And, like, they never open it. It's always there. It's kind of a Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
But, like, the fact that they get the letter and there's no way for us, the viewer, to pick up on, like, the fact that there is hidden rules in there, besides thinking... But, like, it really does feel like this show is banking on bad writing as a cover for a good mystery. And that, alongside its format of being episodic arc, has me concerned for it. But I'm willing to give it time.
I think I enjoyed the twist just because of the fact that while it is just kind of out of left field, as they start explaining it, it's just like, okay, no, you probably could potentially pick up on this, but there's no fucking way you will. I don't like. I'm very glad that this show turned itself around like that, because it very much, I was like, oh, this show's going like first or second based off of its first two episodes. And then episode 3 went, no, fuck you, we're not doing that. So I enjoyed it.
Viewers don't know that I posted a message after watching episode 1 of this show where I went, one of our shows is secretly a dating sim. Good luck figuring out which one. And Mason goes, can I have a hint? And I just sent him a picture of a boat.
Yep.
Of a canoe.
This did happen.
I remember that.
And Michael looked at it and went, what the fuck does that mean? I also like Klaus. I enjoyed the style of character. It's very kind of the Ananakoji character, of like really smart, isn't really good at like showing off that until they do the thing they're really good at. Is like a eighth dimensional chess player in their own mind. But also has like this element of like tragic like distance they keep between themselves and other that I really enjoy. I'm a sucker for that character, and I think Klaus is neat. I want to know why he just paints red.
It's probably something with like blood or fire. Bad.
I wish there was a clearer indication that his mentor died. Did that take anyone else by? Where he was like, my mentor may not have died, and I went, oh, your mentor went on that mission with you? Strange. I didn't see that one coming.
I didn't either.
It felt really weird. I was like, I would have liked that to have been a little more clear cut. I'm interested in that they clearly have this character dynamic that is, whoever the redhead was, who is like an older sister, love interest, mom, whatever, all of the above. I don't know. Could be with this show. I don't like that this show's tagged harem.
Yeah.
I like the teacher-student dynamic. I don't really need it to get into a love situation. I thought the like little flirting with Lily was like an interesting bit, but I didn't really want it to go further than that. This show gets the award for most characters whose names I will not remember.
Understandable.
I don't know if Michael and John want to share a little more thoughts on this.
And the show I was out on until the third episode. I went, you know what? It got me, so it gets to stay.
Yeah, no, its third
Yes,
episode
yeah.
certainly was like the no, okay, maybe I can keep this for a bit. There's something here.
But before that point, I was like, not sure about this one. But it's going. I mean, I don't objectively hate this show. I don't particularly like it, but I mean, third episode got me. If the next arc isn't as good, it's not gonna say. That's just how it's gonna be.
No, that's fair.
Um,
Oh, and that loops us around. I'll say
now
I'm
we go again. Talk about them all again.
Yep, that's
No, dear
exactly
God,
how
no.
that hit. I will say that I'm slaying three things. I'm slaying the stuff that I think I'm fine not watching. One of them is a little contradictory to something I've already said about it, but that's because I think if it went now, it'd be fine, and I think it is a show that I don't think has a good shot sticking on the podcast anyway. That's just a take on it, so it's getting an extra slay. I don't think it's going this week though. I wouldn't be worried about it. The other two, I'm definitely slaying because I honestly could not care to watch either of them. Though I hope one's going over the other because I think the other one at least has been building to something more interesting. I guess in the meantime, while I wait for votes, I will say that the funniest show I've tried to watch, that I've only gotten through the first episode of, is Ice Blade Sorcerer. That show's fucking insane. That's the most. John, you think
Yeah.
you think I'm torturing you with Reborn? Oh boy.
Oh, you would hate it.
You would hate Iceborne so much because it's the worst best show I've ever seen. It might have dethroned Back Arrow in that regard of being the worst best show I've ever
Fuck it up.
seen.
Yeah.
I hold that with Back Arrow and Orphan, where I think those shows are really bad but have qualities that are really appealing to literally just me. And I will say that, like, Iceblade, every character looks horrible for most of the show, and then they just have bits that run the entire episode. I'm like, no, this is funny. It's earning it. It's earning its right to look bad.
The one that I've been watching recently, well, I finished it actually. I watched Mob Psycho season 3.
Ah.
I know I had seen a lot of people losing their minds over it, and I was like, well, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, no, they had it right. That show's a 10. That show's incredible. It's so good. I was not expecting to have the show by one, which is like kind of like a comedy, having me crying by episode 4. So
Ooh.
I mean, current One Punch Man, from what I've seen of like random manga stuff, goes absolutely fucking crazy.
fair.
I have the results. They are in.
Ooh.
Shows
Fighting
that
it.
have full saves, completely safe, no need to worry. Tomo, High Card, Angel, Buddy Daddies, Trigun, that middle block, baby. That's it. Shows that have one slay, Beasts of Ars, Reborn, Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, Spy Classroom. This is gonna give it away. Shows that have 2 slays, Fire Hunter, Ice Guy. Only show with 3 slays on the docket, NieR. I'm not innately surprised by this. I can't believe we're having a shooting fight between Ice Guy and Fire Hunter next week.
Can't
Apparently.
believe you all voted NieR. It
We-
wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
It's
but I really didn't like its
Yeah.
first. I can't express to you how much I hated its first episode and didn't care about anything besides the robot in episode 2, and haven't been made to care yet. Also, maybe
mean,
maybe
For
we're
NieR
dodging.
and Fire Hunter.
Maybe we're
I would-
I disliked Fire Hunter more.
I voted for NieR and Ice Guy. I was expecting Ice Guy to go. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
I voted NieR Ice Guy and Spy. So I voted everything that I'd be fine with going this weekend. Even though I like Spy, I could not watch the night. It's one of those shows where, as far as I'm concerned, it ended. I can walk away happy. But
I just think that's one of the worst like week 1 vote offs we've ever had personally, but that's fine.
maybe
That's how it goes.
you might be right.
Because it's your show.
You might be right.
No, it's not that bad of a show. I think like
It's not. You're right.
I think
I
it
don't think
actually
it's
has an
like
interesting
a
show to
season.
it. I just think it's like I don't know.
I'm
I
curious.
personally, I was expecting something else to go. I was just throwing multiple slates because everyone was saying they were throwing multiple slates. So
I was killing
I
NieR
could've
no
put it
matter
on the
what, and
wheel
I'm
by
fine with
also
NieR.
putting up Ice Guy.
I'm not a coward. I was killing NieR no matter what, and I'm fine with it leaving. I didn't want to watch it anymore. Simple as that. It happens.
NieR, the thing with NieR for me is that though I don't think the show was bad, it very much comes down to I would prefer to just watch a Let's Play.
I would honestly, outside of Ice Guy, prefer to watch anything else on this podcast besides NieR as well. But again, I also slayed Ice Guy, so it's not like I was only gunning for NieR. I was gunning for you. No, no, I like Angel. So that's how you know I'm not gunning for you. I actually surprisingly like that show. If I was, I would have slayed all 3, and that would be rude of me.
Well.
Either way, gang, we are gonna have to see when next stream is gonna be because I am starting work soon. And that's gonna make my schedule a hell for everybody else to work around. So my good days are gonna be Wednesdays, Thursdays, and that's not a good day for the group. And that means otherwise I get home around 10:30 at night. So the goal would be have everything set up for the podcast so that right when I get home we could go and turn live. And try to get done quick. But we will have to see how that looks. We'll make it work. We'll figure something out. Worst case scenario, I'll pre-record my thoughts and have the guys play clips of me spewing random things every time they need to. That'll be fun.
So I think they're gonna say this as we are saying completely opposite things about a show.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny? I just sit there and I go, Tomo was great this week. They're all gonna hate it, and then everybody has it at 1, and I wouldn't know. See, that's a great timeline. John, look, I'm just saying, I think it's in the spirit of the current recent releases of video games that a video game show went off right away on this podcast.
It's okay. You just keep in mind, I have the ability to spoil the new Fire Emblem for you at any moment.
Oh, and I will kick you off the podcast. Cool. Anyway, guys, have a great night. We will talk to you later.
Now